Oh, Jason's here. Well, let him join. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We have a quorum. We're going to go ahead and get started. Can we go ahead and do roll call?
Roll call. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. Jenny West, present. Jason King, present. Adero Lewis, absent. Timothy Lupin, present. Ross Carson, present. Annie Clark, absent. Annie Irvin, present. Jim Ashby, present. Greg Hackenberg, present. Shawanda Poirier, present. We have 8 members constituting a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the New Orleans Historic District Landmarks Commission meeting of April 8th, 2026. We would like to thank you for attending and appreciate your support and cooperation with the HDLC. The HDLC is located at City Hall on the 7th floor at the city's one-stop shop. Our mission is to safeguard the heritage of the city of New Orleans by preserving and regulating historic landmarks and districts which reflect elements of its cultural, social, economic, political, and architectural history. The full HDLC mission statement can be found online. The HDLC has written guidelines that outline our policies and procedures, and they are available at the city's website. We ask that you determine if your property is in an HDLC district or is an HDLC landmark before beginning any work or repairs on the property. If the work or repairs are visible from the public right-of-way, the work requires a certificate from the HDLC, which is known as a Certificate of Appropriateness or C of A. You must get a C of A prior to beginning work. Once a C of A is issued, changes must be approved before work can commence on these changes. If you have any questions about our policies or procedures, we have a highly qualified staff ready to assist you. Please pay attention to the following meeting rules. If you plan on speaking and are not the applicant, you must fill out a speaker's card and hand it to the staff before the meeting. All speakers must state their name and address for the record. Our meetings are recorded and televised. There is a 2-minute speaking time limit. Please turn all cell phones off or on vibrate, and phone conversations should be conducted outside of this room. If your application is denied or there's a no action vote, you have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to the City Council in writing, and the staff will furnish you with the details of this appeals process. Thank you. Okay, first item up, minutes of the Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 meeting. Can we have a motion? Thank you, Commissioner King, seconded by Commissioner Lupin. Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Let it be noted that Commissioner Clark has arrived as well. Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Okay, item 3, consent agenda, 1512 to 16 Orado Street. Item B, 1822 Hastings Place. C, 11118 Thalia Street. D, 1819 to 33 Palmyra Street. Item E, 3117 Annunciation Street. And item F, 2027 Chestnut Street. Item G, 2030 Constant Street. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda items? Seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Hackenberg. Seconded by Commissioner Poirier. Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. If you are here for an item on the consent agenda, you are free to leave this meeting. Your project has been approved. So thank you very much for being here. All right. New business work applications, item 1537 to 39 Euterpe Street has been removed from the agenda. Item B, 418 to 20 Belleville Street. Is the applicant present? Wonderful. Please step forward to the mic. And state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Andrea Tanyas. My address is 418 and 420 Belleville Street in New Orleans.
Thank you. The staff will make their presentation and we'll hear comments following.
Thank you. This is a request to remove chimneys and ridge tiles from a contributing rated one-story single-family residential building. 418 to 420 Belleville Street is a contributed rated one-story double shotgun building located in Algiers Point, constructed prior to 1896, according to the Sanborn maps. The applicant proposes to remove the chimneys, ridge tiles, and finials from the roof. The guidelines state that ridge tiles and finials are visually important features, accentuating the changes in roof slopes, and the HDLC encourages their retention. HDLC requires that the reinstallation of existing ridge tiles and finials during re-roofing. However, for a fortified roof, HDLC allows for the replacement of ridge tiles with new by Hector, which is approved by the Fortified Roof Program. Because fortified certification requires historic material to be individually tested, the removal of the finials is allowable. For chimneys, the guidelines state that they are historically functional elements that complement the building style. Their visual prominence against the sky is why the HDLC recommends that they are retained even if they're no longer providing a functional use. Removal of historic chimneys is only approved by HDLC staff if they are structurally deficient. On March 31st, HDLC inspectors completed a visual inspection of the chimney walls within the attic space of the building and determined they are structurally sound. Previous attempts to mitigate water intrusion at the chimney, specifically by applying a coat of mortar at the roof to chimney junction, were unsuccessful and have resulted in damage to the brick masonry. HDLC staff recommends tuck pointing of the the deteriorating mortar or applying stucco to protect the chimney above the roof line, as well as properly flashing the connection at the roof. HDLC staff recommends denial of the removal of the ridge tiles and the chimneys.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Yes, and actually, as far as the removal, this kind of snowballed. So I think that when, basically with the Fortified Roof Program, the homeowner has little control over things and it just snowballed. We received, and HDLC has been very helpful. They've given permission to stucco the outside of the chimneys, which would give some stability, and we're totally okay with that. And then also I have been in contact with Hecker as far as the ridge tiles. The one point about the ridge tiles is that the Fortified program allows for air venting, and then the ridge tiles from Hecker does not. So we would have to come up with another plan in order to vent the heat out of the roof. And actually, I've been in contact with the project manager for the Fortified Roof Program, and they've given me 2 other possible examples that we could possibly use, and I would like to submit.
Okay, have those been submitted to staff yet?
No, they have not.
Okay. I'm going to look to the staff to see if they can.
Yes, we can approve low-power vents in lieu of ridge vents. That's what we recommend when there are ridge tiles.
Okay, great.
These are deck air, and what it does, and I have a picture here, it allows just a little bit of spacing so that the air could basically be vent out. And the other one is a Hagen type, and it's basically allows for the tiles to go over the top of the vent. So I have a picture here for review.
Okay, it sounds like I'm going to look to the staff on this.
Yeah, I think we can work something out.
Okay, great. So that's great. So the 2 items that we're reviewing today, just as a reminder, are the ridge tiles and the chimneys.
Yes.
It sounds like you have come to a resolution by working with the staff, which is really great.
They were wonderful.
Wonderful. Thank you. We love to hear that, and we appreciate when an applicant is working with the staff, because that's what they're there for. So with that, I think we can make a motion on this one. I'm looking. I think we can go ahead and move this forward, given they've worked out a solution. Yes. I'm going to ask, is there any public comment on this application? No public comment? Commissioner Poirier?
I make a motion that we allow the applicant to work with the staff.
Great, and go ahead and deny, I would assume we need to go ahead and deny removal of the chimneys because it looked, and allow the applicant to stucco the chimneys, which they've worked out with the staff, and then deny removal of the ridge tiles in favor of another detail. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Commissioner Ervin, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project, and thank you again for working with the staff on this
Thank you.
resolution. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Old business demolition applications, item A, 1534 St. Louis Street. Is the applicant present? Item A, 1534 St. Louis Street. Ms. May, I believe this is you. Yes. No problem. Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Sorry, Zella May, 2525 Burgundy Street.
Thank you. Staff?
This is an application for the demolition of a landmark two-story commercial building to grade. The landmark nomination of the building was based on its cultural and historic significance. The building, referred to as Joe Victor Saloon, is a two-story masonry corner building dating from the middle of the 19th century. The building is one of the last remaining structures of the Storyville neighborhood. An interior and exterior inspection was done on May 14th, 2025. The building was found to be in poor structural condition with quite a few D/N violations, demolition by neglect violations. There's also a one-story addition that is non-contributing to the landmark, and the roof has collapsed at that portion. However, PRC has been working with the owner to find a solution for a path forward for this building. Overall, the building is in very poor condition, showing signs of neglect and a compromised building envelope. And it is in a precarious situation. It is heading towards a dangerous condition that will pose a life safety issue. However, it is also incredibly important to the history of New Orleans. As a path towards rehabilitation has been put forth by the PRC's engineering report, staff cannot in good faith recommend the approval of the demolition of a landmark building. Staff does recommend that the non-contributing rear addition be demolished in its entirety due to the collapse of the roof, with precautions to protect the historic structure.
Thank you. Ms. May, would you like to address the commission?
No, I would just like to acknowledge that Wendy did a fabulous job in her report.
Thank you. We have deferred this application several times, so I think, as noted the last time, we're hoping to move this one forward. I'm going to go ahead and call for public comment on this. Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with PRC.
Good afternoon, Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with the Preservation Resource Center at 923 Chapatula Street. The PRC would like to thank the Commission for your patience with this application, allowing us time to work closely with the owner, Mr. Musa, to explore alternatives to demolition. We have had several meetings and conversations with Mr. Musa and coordinated a site visit with structural engineering firm Murray Consultants to provide another opinion on the building's condition. Importantly, as was stated, the structural assessment found that the historic masonry structure is repairable, and you all have a copy of that for review. The former Joe Victor Saloon is an extremely important building, not just locally, but nationally. The mid-19th century building is one of only 3 remaining from Storyville. Mr. Musa also owns 1216 Bienville Street, which is another of the remaining Storyville properties. Unfortunately, that one is also vacant. Saving this building is a rare opportunity to shed light on the layers of Storyville's untold social and cultural history. But this building needs an owner that can secure it and return it to commerce. If Mr. Musa is unable to maintain the property, it may be time to sell to someone who can. We confirmed with the Louisiana State Historic Preservation Office that the building's nomination to the National Register could be completed with only some revisions, which would allow the use of historic tax credits to offset qualified rehabilitation costs. The PRC respectfully asks the Commission to deny this application to demolish 1534 St. Louis Street. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment on this application? No additional public comment. Commissioners, we've heard this application several times now. This is a landmark, historic district landmark, and we appreciate the owner allowing us access to have another structural engineer review the property state. So thank you, that was helpful. Okay, commissioners.
We've heard a lot about this building. I think this additional engineer's report outlines a path that seems reasonable in terms of being able to save the building. For that reason, I would make a motion to deny the demolition, but allow the demolition of the rear portion as outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Carson, seconded by Commissioner King. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. You have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing, and if you wish to do so, the staff will furnish you with the details of that appeals process. Thank you, and good luck with your project. Okay, item B, 1120 Jenna Street. Is the applicant present? Thank you.
My name is Brian Gill Architects, 810 Union Street, Suite 330.
Thank you, Mr. Gill.
This is the second time this project has been presented to the Commission. So this is a retention for the demolition of more than 50% of the roof and exterior wall structure at a contributed rated one-story single-family residential building in deviation of the building permit, and a request for demolition to grade. So the initial HDLC inspection conducted on November 19th found the vacant single-story building appearing to be in good structural condition. The wood-framed building sits atop masonry piers with a worn but intact asbestos shingle roof. The building was clad in vinyl siding, presumably encapsulating wood weatherboards. The building is plumb and level and did not have outward signs of wood-destroying insects. Despite the later additions, the building retained a typical shotgut interior layout. Given the owner's concerns about the quality of the existing construction, exploratory demolition was recommended to better understand concealed conditions. However, selective demolition was not pursued at that time. On February 25th, an application was submitted to demolish the non-historic rear addition. The proposal for partial demolition was supported by the HDLC staff and compiled with applicable guidelines. However, on March 17th, it was discovered that the non-historic side addition, the garage, was also demolished. This additional work exceeded allowable limits for demolition without approval from the Commission. Retention of the excessive demolition has been requested by the applicant, and staff recommends approval as its removal does not adversely affect the streetscape's character and in fact may enhance it. At the request of the applicant, the HDLC conducted a supplementary inspection on March 25th. Exploratory demolition had occurred to expose the structural frame of the building. Removal of the vinyl siding revealed an asphalt siding with a faux brick pattern, likely installed in the 1940s or 50s, and a wood plank sheathing. Due to the deterioration of the boards, the sheathing may be insufficient to resist water intrusion. The original wall framing is irregularly spaced and deviating from typical structural standards. Newer framing members have been added to reinforce the original substandard framing. At the roof structure, the rafters are spaced approximately 48 inches on center, exceeding the 24 inches spacing frequently seen in older New Orleans homes. The original wood roof and wall framing appears to be substandard, and subsequent modifications have not improved its condition. Both the original construction and later additions reflect practices below industry standards. The presence of substandard framing, combined with the complete loss of the historic cladding and front porch features, suggests that rehabilitation is not a suitable approach. HDLC staff recommends approving the retention of demolition without a fine, and as well approving the demolition to grade.
Thank you. So the applicant, do you wish to address the staff or the Commission?
I don't have a lot to add. I think the staff report was very accurate. I would say that I came in at halftime of this project. I was not here for the earlier review before your your board. They asked me to come take a look at the project. I immediately contacted the HDLC, tried to bring myself up to speed. She wanted to know what she could demolish, so I worked closely with staff to come up with something that's less than 50%. We did so. Chad was a great help through that process, and then she went and tore off the garage, non-historic garage portion as well. Hence, she went over the 50%. Now we're asking, after further inspection, we're asking for the whole building to be taken down. It's less than 2 feet from the right-hand property line. There's a gas vent pipe that extends out on that side, probably over the property line. The construction, as you pointed out, is substandard. There's no rehabilitating this building. It's in my opinion, I'm all about historic renovation and restoration. I've made my living doing that. This building is beyond repair. So.
Thank you, Mr. Jill. So the staff's recommendation on this is retention of demolition approved without a fine, and demolition to grade, they're recommending approval. So that's great. Thank you again for working with the staff on this. Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment, Commissioners, this is in Uptown. Commissioner Lupin?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the staff's recommendations and approve the retention, the demolition, and the demolition to grade.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Commissioner Ashby, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. Okay. New business demolition applications. Okay, our first 3 items on the agenda will be, we're going to hear them all at the same time, given they are related, and then we will call for votes separately on each one of the items. I'm going to read through all 3. It's A is 3100 Calhoun Street. Item B is 6307 to 09 Miro Street. Item C is 6309 to 11 South Claiborne Avenue. Thank you all for attending. I am assuming that most people in the audience are here for these applications. We will have a strict 2-minute speaking time limit on all speakers that approach. We will not cede time on this. We would like to keep it to 2 minutes each. So with that, I will I assume it's Zach Smith representing the owner on this?
Yes, Zach Smith, on behalf of the applicant.
Great. And we do have a timer that's in front of the applicant here. Thank you. I guess one more note before we get started. I just wanted to also acknowledge that the all commissioners received as of close of business yesterday from the staff. There was 162 pages document that was received, which is also in the staff report for those opposed to the demolition, and 2 letters for proponents of the application. And that's also well documented, so thank you to the staff for all of that documentation. Do we have someone representing the applicant who wants to state their name and address for the application? And then I can have the staff start their report. Thank you.
Zach Smith, 1000 South Norman C. Francis, on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you, Mr.
Just one question for you. Yeah, you just mentioned no ceding of time. Prior to this meeting, we had conferred with the staff, and we're told that we would cede time.
I will look to the staff to confirm if we can cede time.
We can cede time. I believe we had discussed not limiting the complete amount of public comment, which is allowed for in the rules, but
that's fine. And if that is the case, then both proponents and opponents will be allowed to cede time. Okay, that will take longer, but we will absolutely honor that. Okay, understood. Okay, staff, if you'll make your presentation, thank you.
So the first application is 3100 Calhoun Street, and this is an application for the demolition of a non-contributing rated 1-story commercial building to grade in partial control Carrollton. While the building is non-contributing rated, the structure exhibits qualities and characteristics that warrant additional consideration. While the building was constructed outside the period of significance for the Carrollton Local Historic District, Ted's Frost Stop is considered a New Orleans cultural institution. The building was constructed in 1955 by Ted Sternberg, who eventually went on to own 7 Frost Top locations in Louisiana and Arkansas. The iconic neon-lit root beer mug signage, designed and patented by T.W. Gaines in 1958, graced the building until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina toppled the mug. It sat upside down for years, ultimately becoming a symbol of the city's renewal when it was righted and placed back atop its pole next to the freshly renovated building in 2012. While the building is modest in scale and footprint, the existing one-story structure would likely be difficult to replicate under current conditions due to its overall aesthetic character, design approach, and integrated features. The building reflects a mid-20th century commercial design ethos prioritizing visual expression, novelty, and automobile-oriented visibility, resulting in a highly stylized overall building form, expressive architectural roofline, and integrated large-scale signage and neon lighting elements. By contrast, contemporary commercial construction typically emphasizes efficiency, standardization, and cost control, which would likely diminish or preclude such exaggerated forms and custom detailing. Additionally, the building's extensive use of neon would be difficult to replicate today due to the limited availability of skilled fabricators and maintenance expertise, and the scale and placement of the signage would not comply with current zoning regulations. Based on this, while a new building could be constructed, the distinctive architectural character and design qualities of the existing structure would be likely difficult, if not impossible, to reproduce in contemporary new construction. Frost Top was established in 1926 and became a prominent regional presence with significant ties to New Orleans area. In 1954, T.W. Gaines opened the South's first Frost Stop in Kenner and later patented the revolving root beer mug sign in 1958, a design manufactured locally on Magazine Street and distributed nationwide. By 1959, national franchising operations were directed from New Orleans. At its peak, Frost Top operated approximately 350 locations nationwide. However, as of 2026, only a small number remain, with even fewer retaining their original buildings. This building continues to contribute to the Carrollton and Uptown District's broader cultural and visual character as a rare and intact example of mid-20th century drive-in commercial architecture. It is an exceptional surviving example of the kind of fast food outlets that proliferated along America's highways in the 1950s and 60s in response to the surge in automobile ownership, car culture, roadside commerce, and fast food service. It also appears to have retained its original architecturally expressive roof form and building form, prominent signage, integrated neon and fluorescent lighting, and distinctive exterior elements such as checkerboard tile cladding and slender raked structural supports. Architecturally, the building reflects characteristics associated with Gougy-influenced commercial design, a style identified in the early 1950s and defined by expressive forms, bold signage, and a focus on roadside visibility and immediacy. Its long-standing operation at this location since 1955, combined with its iconic signage and strong community associations, has established the site as an informal local landmark within the public realm. As such, the building contributes to the toot ensemble of the district by illustrating a later layer of development that complements rather than detracts from the area's historic character. Additionally, while the property has not been formally nominated for landmark study, staff finds that it appears to meet applicable criteria based on its noted architectural distinctiveness and cultural significance. Additional historic research has been prepared by our HDLC principal architectural historian, Yvette Jett, and is included below in this report. HDLC staff completed an exterior visual inspection of the building on April 3rd, 2026, and determined it to be in good to fair overall condition. While the building was constructed outside the period of significance, it remains in good condition with minimal alterations and exhibits special qualities that reflect a distinctive and increasingly rare mid-20th century drive-in commercial typology. It retains a recognizable level of architectural integrity, including its expressive form and integrated signage, and possesses strong cultural significance as a long-standing and widely recognized local commercial establishment. The building also contributes to the broader visual and cultural character of the district. Based on these factors, staff recommends denial of the request for demolition to grade. In the event that demolition is approved, staff recommends a proviso that the certificate of appropriateness shall not be issued until any associated new construction permit is ready to be issued by the Department of Safety and Permits. The second application is 6307 on 09 South Miro Street. And this is an application for the demolition of a non-contributing rated one-story commercial building to grade in partial control Carrollton. Based on this building's age, its non-contributing rating, and the absence of historic building fabric or character-defining architectural features, staff has no objection to the request for demolition to grade, with the proviso that if approved, the certificate of appropriateness for demolition shall not be issued until any associated new construction permit is ready for issuance by the Department of Safety and Permits. And finally, the last application is 6309, 6311 South Claiborne Avenue. And this is an application for the demolition of a non-contributing rated one-story commercial building to grade in partial control Carrollton. Based on the building's age, its non-contributing rating, the lack of compatibility of its type, form, and siting with the surrounding historic context, and the absence of historic building fabric or character-defining features, staff has no objection to the request for demolition to grade, with the proviso that if approved, the certificate of appropriateness shall not be issued until any associated new construction permit is also ready to be issued by the Department of Safety and Permits.
Thank you. One moment, Mr. Smith, before you get started. So we have lots of cards up here, and we're just trying to keep everything organized and make sure that we hear everyone. You have 8 minutes, it looks like, including seated time. I'm going to call the cards that are being seated to you and make sure that they are in attendance in the audience. Laura Barth, thank you. Nick Musser, yes, thank you. And Ron Loisel. Great, okay, all three have confirmed that they're seating time. 8 minutes, and we will start the clock. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Commission. Again, Zach Smith, 1000 South Norman C. Francis. We have a lot to talk about today. I know you guys have a lot to listen to, and appreciate the time, as always, for your open ears and making sure that we look at this project, especially thinking about how this relates to every project that's come before you. Specifically, we have a report that was done, I think very well written, and definitely a lot of passion that went into it. And as it comes straight out the gate, and I'm just going to jump straight into it, we have a lot of except for, comma, buts, however, maybe we missed this one. This is the Historic District Landmarks Commission, and we are responsible as developers to make sure that we look at the resources in front of us. And fundamentally, and you're going to hear this a couple times, is that this property was specifically listed as non-contributing to the property. Mr. Robert is going to get up after me and talk about, the project and what the vision was, and a couple things. And one of the fundamental things that's hardest about the position we're in is that we're going uphill against a staff report that essentially contradicts every staff report we've seen on non-contributing buildings. Keeping it to the staff report specifically, though, we again talk about how this is a drastic action. But again, it's a non-contributing building, but we think it has special circumstances. It's a non-contributing thing, but it warrants additional consideration. Again, if it was a landmark status or designation, I think it's responsible and it's respectful to say I think it should have been classified long before anybody had this conversation, because it's an open process to do that at any time from any member of the public, and also from the committee and the commission. And so therefore it's a little hard to get into. When we talk about the cultural significance, as someone who had my parents take me to the Frost Top locations, both uptown and on Jefferson Highway, I can tell you there's certainly some sentimentality there. But if we think that cultural significance alone is sufficient as it relates to any longstanding business, again, I think we should just spend the next year going through the list of all of the businesses and all of the interesting pieces and parts that add up to maybe we should let people know we're going to protect those things. Again, this is an arbitrary decision-making process to essentially say something's landmark as it's now in front of you when it's clearly been deemed non-contributing. It's in the staff report. It's non-contributing. And yet, again, this report has gone to great lengths to find ways to say it's somehow in there. We talk about the tout ensemble. We know by the own staff report that this thing is somehow very distinctly different than the neighborhood. We know in the staff report it's built outside of the period of significance. It's listed as non-contributing, and somehow it fits into the architectural aesthetic. Again, these arguments about architectural fitting in and the tout ensemble are made in front of this body every single meeting. And this one just sticks out like a sore thumb as the argument is now being shoehorned in to fit because somebody feels extra special about it. And I get it. I understand. I think the thing has a special nature. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say it out loud. But I do not think it merits the ability to basically retroactively landmark this building when it's clearly been labeled a non-contributing building and it's through the demolition process that we're retroactively applying landmark status. We talk in the staff report about alternatives to demolition were not explored. That is factually incorrect. While we did not submit all of our 3,000 variations that the architect had been working on, I would say that that is a factually incorrect statement, and any request by anyone during the time and while they were writing this voluminous report could have asked us, did you do that? And we could have supplied variations of where on the new building the signs are going to go, how we're going to incorporate this, how we're going to move the layouts around. There's been several iterations. So to say that somehow it hasn't been explored, not that it's necessarily even relevant, but it's factually incorrect to somehow say that in the report. And I get it, the information was not known to the staff at the time, but I'm here to correct that and say that there certainly were alternatives explored. When it comes to difficult or impossible to reproduce, there's a lot of talk about the neon. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as I've seen with my own eyes, including as recently as Monday night when we had a very lively discussion, the neon exists on the signs, which we're keeping the signs. So to say that we need special craftsmen to recreate neon on a building, if the signs are removed from the building, we're not aware that neon exists on there. There are fluorescent lights, but there is no neon to our appreciation on the buildings themselves. So therefore, the removal of those signs and the protection of those signs, which is absolutely part and parcel with this project, would be allowing for those things to stay. When we get into, again, the special character and aesthetic, we talk about neon yet again. And then, again, we're talking about how it's specific and it meets the neighborhood and it meets this and it meets that, but yet the same report talks about how this is a very specific thing of basically this broad American paintbrush of this roadside diner. Keep in mind that this zoning district and what people are trying to do with development patterns in and around South Claiborne is to promote a more walkable neighborhood. Essentially keeping this building as it is, how it's laid, is going to continue to produce a parking lot that is not very pedestrian friendly. We have received a lot of public comment about the safety of students and the safety of pedestrians. Keeping this building as is would essentially force a very unsafe environment of cars to street, to sidewalk, if it were to be somehow sandwiched in with new development. When we go into, again, the building is in fair or good condition, which I think was one of the, maybe the 9th point. I've read, I think, the last 2 years of staff reports for non-contributing buildings. They're generally in good shape, and they aren't used as reasons to deny a demolition of a non-contributing building. In fact, many times, I have several copies with me of different projects, but they're listed as, yeah, we did an inspection, and it's good, or it's fine, and it doesn't need to be torn down, but hey, it's non-contributing, tear the thing down. Last, to kind of pull this in, as I got 90 seconds left, we just continue to have this ability of, well, we think it's special, we wish somebody maybe would have done it, maybe there's a landmark status to it. Guys, we hear the preaching all the time about following rules and making sure to know and do the due diligence before. This project did its research, did its due diligence, and now is essentially having the rules changed on it after the fact. We think that's fundamentally unfair, and you're going to hear from Mr. Robert about how he engaged us and how he went about this and the thoughtful ways in which he did to preserve the things that we know because they're actually listed in the CZO as classic signs. We made a point to follow every rule in front of us to make sure this happens. And again, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Robert? I'm going to go ahead and just call, same as Mr. Smith, cards that are being ceded to you for time. Mark Robert III, thank you. And the second, Mark Robert II, thank you. Okay, you have 6 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Matthew Robert, 135 Allen Toussaint Boulevard, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70124. I am here on behalf of ownership. Thank you all for being here this afternoon as well. I would like to echo Mr. Smith's points that as an ownership team, investment team, and development team on this project and fellow community members, business members in this neighborhood, we spent a great deal of time vetting and running due diligence on this proposed development to not only make sure that the new construction development is permitted by right pursuant to the city zoning ordinance, but more importantly and more relevant to this forum, to ensure that the buildings that are proposed for demolition were, one, non-contributing in nature, which we understand the HDLC has confirmed, and two, not landmarked by the HDLC. Specifically, we confirmed that this property, specifically 3100 Calhoun, has been viewed by the HDLC through the historic lens, through the landmark lens, and the HDLC has specifically landmarked the signs, but has specifically not landmarked the building. And so as part of our diligence and proper vetting to develop and invest in this district and in the city as a whole, we followed those guidelines. We followed the ordinances set forth by the city and precedent set forth by the HDLC to allow for further improvement development in this district. By disallowing, precedent and by going against what we understand has been set forth as guidelines for developers and for investors in the city, creates a great deal of uncertainty for not only us, but for other investors as well, trying to invest in the district and in the city. And not only uncertainty, but it prohibits further investment, further development. We think that this development and proposed development and investment can do a great deal for the neighborhood, and specifically for the historic business Ted's Frost Stop that we all know and love. As owners of the business, we can confirm that without further development of its space, it does not have long-term viability. As we've discussed, there were, at its peak, Frost Stop franchises had 350 locations nationwide. This was a franchise that started in Ohio. It is not unique to New Orleans. Had 350 locations nationwide. It is now less than 15, I believe less than 10 locations nationwide. And I think this speaks to external factors in the marketplace that aren't compatible with this style diner at present day. I think as business owners, we feel that in multiple facets, especially in the food service industry, and I think we've seen that citywide, that there are external factors that make operating businesses and food service businesses in this city difficult. And we believe that in order to keep this business alive and give it enduring qualities that can ensure long-term viability, it needs things like a new kitchen. It needs more seats. The drive-in atmosphere of a diner is not modern day food service. We need to be able to house more seats to keep the business alive. And we think that this proposed development does that. We want to see the long-term life of a great business, of these great historic landmark signs. We want to see that continue on for a long time. And we welcome any questions, comments, and feedback. And I appreciate all of your time and for all of you being here today.
Thank you. I have Mickey Hayes. Please state your name and address for the record.
Mickey Hayes, 612 Hagan Avenue.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm a Loyola Law student, long-term resident of New Orleans. I'd like to offer my support for the proposed two-lane Frost Stop housing development. The basis of my support is very simple. More housing is a good thing. The United States is in the midst of a national housing shortage. Louisiana currently faces a shortage of over 100,000 affordable rental units. The most recent data suggests that the New Orleans housing market would need an additional 7,000 units for sale and 1,000 units for rent just to be considered balanced. Low supply creates a number of serious issues. Prices rise with demand, leading to increased displacement and financial burden on lower income people. Higher housing costs are very strongly correlated to higher homelessness rates. And the solution is obvious. We just need to build more. There's another trend in the university area housing scene. Sprinkled in the neighborhood are red signs protesting D2Ds, or doubles to dormitories. This is a phrase used to describe the redevelopment of 2-unit properties into multi-unit homes, commonly rented to university students. The cancellation of a student housing development would very likely exacerbate this perceived issue, as more students would be competing for housing options in the neighborhoods adjoining the school. Housing does not have to be a zero-sum game. Opponents of this development raise many valid concerns, and I share in the sentimental value that Ted's Frost Stop brings to so many of us. For that reason, I'm glad that Ted's will remain on the ground floor of the development. I plan to come back when the project is complete and I wouldn't be surprised to see plenty of other happy customers while I'm there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We have so many comments. I'm just going to roll through all of them before we have discussion. Okay. Moving into the opposition cards here. Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with PRC. Yep, you're up first. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Mary Nell Nolan Wheatley with the Preservation Resource Center, 923 Chapatula Street. The PRC is opposed to the demolition of Ted's Frost Stop at 3100 Calhoun Street. Of the 350 Frost Stop locations that once proliferated nationwide, only 9 remain, and this building is the last of what was once a ubiquitous franchise in the greater New Orleans area. These stats highlight an unfortunate pattern of dismissing mid-century modern architecture as unworthy of keeping. But the more mid-century buildings we lose, the more valuable these remaining buildings become. And that's why it's important to reevaluate some of these buildings as necessary. HDLC Principal Architectural Historian Yvette Jet's additional research and analysis illustrate the ways that this building is worthy of saving. Architecturally distinctive for its roadside mid-century modern building and its playful and bold Gougy-influenced signage, it is also culturally significant as a place that serves an active role in people's current lives, as well as the community's collective memory. The root beer mug, which was locally manufactured on Magazine Street, took on its own significance as a symbol of recovery when it was reinstalled in 2012 after toppling in Hurricane Katrina. After the proposal for the new development at this location was announced, neighbors and residents have come out in droves to support saving this iconic building. They talked to friends and colleagues, attended the neighborhood meeting, submitted comments online, signed a petition, emailed elected officials, and showed up at City Hall today. The PRC received numerous calls and messages from concerned residents eager to engage and stop this demolition. That communal reaction is extraordinary today, and it should not be ignored. We recommend a thoughtful approach to designing the new construction in a historic district that prioritizes retaining the city's historic architecture, the bedrock of New Orleans, and its.
Thank you. Sandra Stokes.
Hi, I'm Sandra Stokes, and Mr. Burt is going to cede some time to me.
Okay.
That's okay.
I will find that card. Thank you.
Burt Lodrig. I'm Sandra Stokes. I'm representing Louisiana Landmark Society, 1440 Moss Street. First of all, I want to thank the HDL staff for the excellent report and the denial of the demolition. Since we are looking at all the sites here, I want to talk about the whole project then. This is planning by surprise, just what we were trying to get away from. There was lack of engagement to the community, which is very important, and that's why you have the reaction now. Make no mistake, this is about the expansion of the two-lane campus across Claiborne Avenue and sets a precedent for more two-lane expansion afterwards. This is a single-family neighborhood with dorms moving in, not affordable housing, not housing for the community. This is dorms. So with that, there's also a lack of parking. There's 37 parking places for 160 residents. The neighborhood is going to be impacted. The traffic is going to be impacted. The safety of students crossing Claiborne Avenue, we hear people getting hit and dying on Claiborne Avenue all the time. The safety is primary issue at this. But today we're talking about the destruction of Ted's Frost Stop. This is a cultural landmark, as we've learned. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to talk about Ted's Frost Top. But what I want to say is this is a cultural landscape, and what makes New Orleans so unique is the quirky, is the character. And as Mr. Smith said, the distinctly different. And that's what this is. So thank you, Mr. Smith. The sign stuck on a building is not preservation. It is, as Tennessee Williams would say, making
Oh, hold on, we're going to cede additional time, so if we can reset to 2 minutes. I don't know who is controlling this wonderful new device, but thank you. Yes.
Did I say Tennessee Williams? Okay, so the sign stuck on a building, on a dormitory, is just, as Tennessee Williams would say, making us Cleveland. Is this what we want for New Orleans? This is not preservation. The main thing I'd like to say is that at the meeting the other night, they talked about the staff and the restaurant itself was what was key to being saved. Well, it's also the building, it's also the sign, it's also the cultural part of it. But there is no parking planned for Ted's Frost Top in the future. As stated at the meeting, it is street parking. There is nothing that's going to kill this faster for the community than having no parking at a restaurant and relying on the 160 students to eat there every day and people that can walk in the neighborhood. So I ask you to deny this demolition request and uphold the character of New Orleans.
Thank you. Thank you. Randy Phillipson?
Good afternoon. Randy Phillipson, 1411 Henry Clay. I'm a lifelong New Orleanian, and Tennessee Williams said it best, as Ms. Stokes alluded to. America has only 3 cities, New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans. Everywhere else is Cleveland. What keeps us out of the Cleveland category isn't an attitude, it's the places, the real ones, the ones that can't be replicated. Ted's Frost Stop is one of those places. Now we've heard the case for demolition, we've heard about walkability and urban activation along Claiborne Avenue. Let me be direct. Claiborne is a state highway. You don't stroll to a burger joint along a state highway. The walkability argument isn't just weak, it's a little insulting to everyone in this room. We've also heard assurances that the iconic neon and root beer mug will be preserved, removed, stored, and reinstalled in the new structure. Anyone who has worked with vintage neon knows that that's a restoration plan. That's not a restoration plan, sorry. That's a gamble with something irreplaceable. And let's talk about the representative of the developer. Mr. Smith has built a reputation on finding loopholes and stacking variances. This is not his first double-density student dorm project in this corridor. At what point do we stop calling it creative development and start calling it a pattern? My question to this commission is simple. Who on that development team or on their anchor tenant has the actual expertise to steward a 70-year-old historic structure through demolition, storage, and reconstruction without losing what makes it matter? What is done in the shadows will come to light. This commission's decision will be part of the public record and part of this neighborhood story long after the construction crews are gone. This deserves a chance to survive. Vote no on demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Meredith Mueller? Meredith Mueller? Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Meredith Mueller. I live at 2339 Charters Street. I want to thank you for your time. I will not be the most well-spoken person on this microphone here today, but I might be the most passionate about Ted's Frost Top. I used to live in the neighborhood. I lived in the Fontainebleau neighborhood as a student of Loyola between the years of 2018 and 2022. It's of my personal opinion, Tulane has more than enough space to build their dormitory housing where they have already expanded. I know Loyola just finished a new dormitory project on their tiny little plot. I recommend Tulane follow their advice. Not that anyone's asking for my recommendation. I do think they should leave Ted's Frost Top alone for all the reasons that everyone else has provided. Parking is an issue. That intersection is dangerous. Sheesh, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I took notes. I just think it would be an abomination to tear down. I loved taking my friends, family, loved ones to Frost Top when I got to tell them how excited I was to move to New Orleans and be a part of the community. And it's such an important space, and I am just grateful to get to take some of your time on behalf of my friends who couldn't be here. Please vote no on the demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Stuart Richard, is that correct? Richard, I'm sorry, it's difficult to read, but is there a Stuart here? Okay, I'm gonna come back to that one. Nicholas Tronsko.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Troncoso. I don't have too much to say.
Please state your address for the record as well.
6321 South Tonti.
Thank you.
I really don't have too many comments because I think other people have better points to make. Parking is definitely going to be the biggest issue with this project for sure. As someone who lives or who did live on South Tonti and still lives on South Tonti, we have the B Spot that just opened on the corner. It's a restaurant, or a couple years ago, I think now. Parking around there is already really rough, and a lot of the employees of that business would park in the bank that you can kind of see in one of those pictures. Would park in the bank area. Including that, the parking on Tonti is already pretty abysmal. If the dorm's going to be where that bank is right now, there's going to be less parking for employees of businesses around there and customers, which will not only negatively affect Frost Stop, but all the surrounding businesses around there. So, yeah, that's really the main concern with this, but also the cultural significance of Frost Stop is, as you can see today, pretty important. Thank you.
Thank you. Madison Roberts. Madison Roberts. Please state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Hello. I was given some time from people in the back. Okay.
You would like, can you
Just in
explain?
case, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of have a lot to say.
Will you adjust the mic towards yourself and I'll find the card to see the time. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Madison Roberts, and I live at 6321 South Tonti Street. As someone who attended the meeting on Monday and who basically lives through that bank parking lot, I believe not only all of us who live on South Tonti, but the rest of the neighborhood, including Versailles, feel completely and utterly blindsided at the fact of this project. No one was made aware until the news broke last week in an article. And I have a couple of things that I've proposed. My family started Robert's Bar, which, as y'all know, is across the street on the other side of Calhoun, and all the property on that side, as well as the 2 houses on South Tonti Street. And Ted's Frost Top has been there through it all, and I feel like it's multi-generational of importance not only to my family, but to the entire community who has also grown up and lived in that neighborhood their entire lives, as well as I know people who have lived on Versailles who said they have been living there for 45 plus years, who also have been able to grow up and experience what Ted's Frost Top truly means to them. And I know I'm here on the account of so many of my peers, people I went to college with, and fellow roommates who I've lived with on South Tonti Street who couldn't make it here today, who also feel very passionate in the same way about the demolition of this building. I think that the appearance, and I think it's just very important that we need to maintain the aesthetic of this building for a multitude of reasons. One, that it's very few left in the country, and it's like one of the last that actually preserves what this organization meant to them in the future, well, in the past. So I think it's also a symbol of resilience for the city of New Orleans, of it survived so much in its time, the last 75 years, with it being such a staple and surviving Katrina. I think it just means a lot to everyone that it's still here, and I don't think it should be removed for all those reasons and above. And the petition has almost 2,000 signatures. All those people agree who couldn't be here today, and I just think this is such a blindside and a big no to the community.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, great. Thank you. Nicole Romeo. And I am calling these cards in the order we just received them, so there's no. If you are planning to cede time, please find the name of the person you are planning to for time to be seated from. Thank you. Okay. Please state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Nicole Romeo, 816 Cherokee Street. Sorry, I wasn't planning on speaking, but here we are. Basically, what I keep hearing is investment and development, but what I'm not hearing is community. Ted's Frost Top is community. We do cruise-ins. We walk over there, we get milkshakes. We hang out in the picnic tables. We go to the drive-in because we like the way it is. Ted's Frost Top is a mid-century building. It is iconic. People film there. It is a wonderful place to go, and it is a wonderful place for our community. And that is not what I'm hearing that is going to be happening. Again, we were blindsided, had no idea that this was going to be happening. It never came out to the community, and this would be devastating to lose Ted's Frost Top in this community. So please, vote no on the demolishment of Ted's Frost Top.
Thank you. Jennifer Urbach. Feel free to correct me if I've mispronounced your name.
It's fine. Jennifer Bannock, 2233 St. Charles Avenue. My father was a developer, and he knew what would happen when you were developing property. Sometimes you'd find Native American pottery or an endangered species, and you had to change your plan. The fact that if you found something special that people didn't designate as special at that time, but then we realize it's an endangered species, it's something of importance, you gotta stop the project. And there's no doubt that this is. It is very important, from the atomic age, the futurism, and yeah, there's less than 10 of these, and most of them are not in the condition. They don't have the special history that this one did. When you take the signs, last couple gentlemen back who spoke, he's completely right. The neon could break. I've moved neon stuff, and it works in the architecture of the building. Sitting the root beer in the side of an alcove and putting that A-line front on a building that's not for it, it's almost worse than it not being there at all. It would be better in a museum. This is futuristic, space age imagination, joyful things you could see from the road, and it would make you smile. And it's not a matter of just nostalgia. Just like when I see a beautiful painting or sculpture in a museum, I don't go, oh, I have nostalgia for it. I see its value, and architecture has value. And if anyone should realize that, it should be a developer, understanding the artistic value, merit, and important history of buildings themselves. They are art forms, and once we lose them, we can't get them back. You can't recreate it. Even if you could, it wouldn't be the same thing. Thank you very much. Please vote no.
Thank you. Chase Borrell. Chase Borrell. Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes.
Does the last name say Bacall?
Yes, that's great. Sorry, it is very challenging sometimes to read these. Thank you.
My name is Chase Bacall. My address is 1407 Napoleon Avenue. I've lived in New Orleans and the greater Louisiana for a long time now, and one thing I have loved about New Orleans is its historic gems like Ted's Frost Top. Places like this is what makes New Orleans. We don't need the demolition of more historic landmarks. We need less empty, unused houses and Airbnbs. Ted's Frost Top survived Hurricane Katrina, and to me, that represents the stubborn and indomitable American spirit. Once history is lost, you cannot get it back. Once it is lost, the neon sign will not work without the building, in the same way that she had said. The placement is important, especially from the front facade. This is a mid-century architectural treasure. It's a building with a line frame and characteristics I have never seen before. all the neon and all the details that transport you to a place that my grandparents once knew. Another site could be chosen for the dormitories. Why not renovate an existing building, a spot that needs rehabilitation and improvement, a building or two that is run down or that isn't being used? Then Tulane would be seen as a helpful part of our community, not an eraser of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan. Please state your name and address. You have 2 minutes.
Matt Ryan, 1017 UTERP. I thought Mr. Smith was from New Orleans, and it seems like he should know that this city is full of non-conforming buildings that are landmarks. I'll use Dookie Chase as a good example. The other point is, y'all, the rules of the HDLC or your policies is that if you're looking at a demolition, they have to have a clear redevelopment plan in place before y'all allow them to tear a building down, right?
That is, yes, it is.
I would argue that this project is caught up in so many NDAs, secrecy. We're not talking about all this. That we're not going to talk about this because it's none of your business, and that is worse than having no development plan, because you don't know what, I mean, they're doing something bad if they're making it that secret, and it's going to be 2-lane across Claiborne. All right, and the last thing I'd like to say is please, I beseech you, y'all are the only thing that stands between Ted's and the wrecking ball. So I please ask you to vote no.
Thank you. Just procedurally, we will respond. Sorry, we're taking notes up here, and I know the staff is as well. We will respond following all public comment being heard. So some of the things that we're hearing, I'm going to wait to the end to respond, but thank you for your comments. Justin Schmidt.
I'd like to cede my time. It's Paul
Yes.
Massa, M-A-S-S-A.
I will find it. Thank you, sir. I will. We'll go ahead and give 4 minutes. I have lots of cards here.
Do we have 2 minutes per property?
Yes, I have 3 cards from one.
So I have these for the other 2 properties, so that would be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a question.
But Wendy said yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, you concede. So, okay, you have 2 more.
Perfect.
Okay.
Justin Schmidt, 1506 7th Street. I guess primarily I want to address the technical reasons that I ask you to deny this, and that would be the demolition criteria B and D. There are very special characteristics of this building, and then the ensemble of the neighborhood being B. So as the Roberts Bar heiress mentioned, this is the anchor property to a commercial corridor in a very historic and old neighborhood. You have that strip of Calhoun between Claiborne or Miro to South Tonti that has always been commercial, and it's been this hub of the true neighborhood gathering place. With Robert's grocery store, I remember going to as a child. I remember my sisters went and got uniforms at the place that sold uniforms on the corner of South Tonti before the burger place went there and everywhere else. The bar's always been there. I mean, this has been a historic, the music box, which is where you used to get your greeting cards. And this has been truly a neighborhood location. And so HDLC's charge is not just buildings, but it's also neighborhoods. And so keeping consistent with the neighborhood, I think it's important that we're not putting up this dormitory, which is another issue we'll get to in a second. As far as the building and characteristics, remember this is on Highway 90. Highway 90 traditionally came from Raceland, crossed over the Huey P. Long Bridge. It came down Tulane, whatever, Jefferson Highway to Claiborne, and then it continued on. I mean, this was there because it was it's the iconic roadside diner that we see. I'm reminded by this store by some of those that you'd see on Highway 90 or 603 over in the Mississippi Gulf Coast in Bay St. Louis and Waveland, where you used to see the old Stuckies. And that's another, one of these Americana icons that have gone with the dodo. But you'd see these things, and they've now been, kind of bastardized, and you can't, if you knew what they were there before, you knew they were Stuckies, but you don't know that, what's there now. If you knew what was there before, you knew what it was, but it really is part of Americana and part of us getting in cars and driving on vacation or going to the malt shop or the frost stop at the evenings that really is nostalgic and what makes New Orleans, New Orleans. And having these little gems interspersed through our community is important. I know, and I think Ms. West was going to say at the end that Mr. Ryan's comment about the future design is not considered, that I know G is not considered one of the criterion in a designation of a demolition, but it's kind of hard to separate yourself from that, especially given that by my review of the zoning ordinance, it's going to be very hard for them to build what they have proposed within the confines of this zoning district. They say they've done their due diligence, yet they haven't cited which provisions of the zoning ordinance are there to do it. And so I think under the circumstances, this is...
Mr. Schmidt, so we have 4 minutes from 2 cards seated, but given I've just learned we are going to allow additional time because we have 3 applications.
Right.
If you'll provide the 2 additional cards you have.
Okay.
Yeah, just so I have them on file. You can give them to the staff. Thank you. Yes. Obviously, we can go on all day and give everyone in this room a lot of time. We're just hoping to get to a good deliberation on this as well. So I will honor that with the proponents as well. But again, just ask that you be mindful of everyone's time here today.
So while technically, I guess you cannot consider it, what you can consider is the reality of the situation, and that the demolition of this property beyond the strong reasons that within the scope is that there are incredible zoning problems with this. This, by every definition of the CZO, is a dormitory. Tulane acknowledged it was a dormitory. It'll be under lease as a dormitory for an undisclosed time. Tulane will administer that by definition in the zoning ordinance. A dormitory is a habitation that is related to universities, industrial sites, and hostels. Even though Tulane doesn't own it, it doesn't make it not a dormitory. In our zoning ordinance, we look at things by use, not by the structure of them. I know y'all are about structure and mass and that type of thing, but this is a dormitory. Dormitories are not permitted here. So I think it's premature for this body to be considering demolishing such an iconic building that does qualify as a very historic gem that is worth keeping, when the developers who allegedly have done all of this due diligence, there is not a zoning verification on file of record. There is not a opinion letter or a zoning opinion that's been given, or at least posted to the public. Maybe they're holding it and they haven't put it out there, but there are a lot of hurdles where the developers say they can do this by right, but I'm fairly sure they can't. There are going to have to be subsequent applications. And I think for this body to consider to be the first of those to be consideration in this process, which will be a very a very prolonged process of going through and getting this approved, it's putting y'all in a bad spot, and you shouldn't be. The building speaks for itself, and under the circumstances, and particularly those criteria B or D that are in your demolition regulations, ask that you please deny this application outright. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam Scher. Adam Scher.
Hello, my name is Adam Scher. I'm just going to keep it simple. I live at 6001 Pratt Drive. I just pretty much said I'm appalled by Robert and Tulane University. For a university that teaches preservation, they should be leading by example and not just destroying the fabric of our city and taking away something that's very important. I say vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Bichelle Campbell. Lauren Bichelle Campbell.
Lauren Beschel Campbell, 9 Rail Street. I find it very funny that Mr. Smith was talking about how anyone could have made this a landmark at any time. Number one, no one considered that this Ted's Frost Shop was going away. As the community has stated, this was an out-of-the-blue surprise for everyone. I also think that, again, with Tulane, as an institution that's recognized for its preservation and the built environment, it's deeply, deeply disappointing to see that Tulane failed to apply those principles that they, teach in their schools with this proposed design that is completely a gray, sad box, which does not contribute anything to our city, the community, and it's not the kind of preservation or future builds that we want to see in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary McKinnon.
Hey, I'm Mary Scott McKinnon. I'm at number 1 Versailles Boulevard. Matthew Robert made a point that no one tried to preserve Frost Top before this project. I just want to point out that preservation is often reactive, not proactive, meaning it often takes the threat of a demolition is exactly what pushes landmarks to become historical. The French Quarter faced repeated threats of redevelopment in the early 20th century, which helped solidify protections and preservation rules that exist today. I want to also reiterate the previous speaker's point that we were blindsided and there was zero community engagement. Please vote no. Thanks.
Nan, is it Glade? Ann Glade? Thank you. Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
I'm going to see Ann.
Okay. I'm going to keep going then, and I'll hold your card for that time. Jan Beatty.
Essentially, everything that I had
Please
to say.
state your name and address for the record.
It's Jane Batty, 3313 Calhoun Street.
Thank you.
Everybody said everything that I imagined that I had to say. The only thing I want to add is that you're already making a decision on a very highly impacted area. We were highly impacted by Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Ida. That puts all of these residents in a special type of victim and victimization. And one of the largest sources of victimization was through contractors and developers who were not ready to go to work. I have had a lot of people go to look at the records that are on file with safety and permits, and they are telling me that they're incomplete. And the major thing about the incompleteness is that the whole neighborhood was blindsided by this. It makes this entire process illegal. We tried to get that across on Monday night, but it seems to not stick. In other words, this type of contractor is used to doing this kind of work and this kind of planning. In this case, there is no planning. I've had a contractor, construction expert, tell me that just the foundation for this building, let alone what they're going to do to our beloved Ted's Frost Top, would take 5 months to complete. Just the foundation. By that time, and I'm going by 8.5 years of destruction, 3.5 years of another type of destruction committed by the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board and all their subcontractors. Our houses that are all individual, just like Ted's Frost Top, even if it's a mansion or a small 2-bedroom cottage, they are all individual and worthy of saving. So if this plan goes through, if the trucks come through and ruin our brand new streets, they are also going to be ruining.
Your time is complete. Yes, thank you. Okay. Janet Arthur? Is Janet Arthur present? Yes. Thank you. Sorry, I just want to make sure we get everyone's comments. And if I don't call your name, there will be time at the end.
Hi, my name is Janet Arthur. I live at 6319 South Russia-Blave Street, which is 2 blocks from Frost Top. And I just want to say that I would like y'all, the HDLC, to deny the application to demolish Frost Top, that it's obviously a National Historic Landmark, that many movies have filmed there because it's so iconic. And I've been living there for 45 years, and I've been taking my grandchildren to get Lotto Burger Juniors and shakes at Frost Top their whole lives, and they love to play the pinball machines there. And when we told my 8-year-old granddaughter that they may be tearing it down, she started crying. So maybe Mr. Robert could consider doing a facelift at Frost Top and renovating it a little bit. And maybe he could put a second location in the dorm, but to keep the original location for the neighborhood. So anyway, please save the Frost Top. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirk Bergeron? Kirk Bergeron? Wonderful. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes. We appreciate everyone's patience. We just want to make sure everyone gets heard today.
My name is Kirk Bergeron. I live at 3509 Calhoun Street. My family lived on Calhoun Street for 130 years. I have a picture of my family, Derry. I get it out of the folder. My family dairy on Calhoun Street was called the Bloomingdale Dairy, which used to be the Bloomingdale track before it was Calton. Ted's Frost Top is an icon building. It's more like the Jetsons building. These neighbors and that lived in this area were more like a family. It was one of the premier buildings on Calhoun Street. And this was always a blue-collar neighborhood. The camaraderie from the Tulane games were fantastic. Everyone knew everyone at this site. There were parties, bands, car shows. I could go on I wrote so much, I wouldn't have time to even write, speak about all this. But this is a building worth saving. I knew Mr. Ted personally because I was thrown out of there a few times for opening the salt and pepper shakers, tilting the pinball machines. He was a great man. He was a hard worker, and this building needs to remain where it is. It's iconic, and I believe it should be a landmark. Because all the people that gone through Calhoun Street, I can tell you, they practically lived at Ted Frost Stop. And everything that was said, the gentleman spoke about a apartment complex being on Calhoun Street. There was one before, about 15 years ago. And it was denied.
That's time. I'm sorry, they've now made it where I... This is a new device for us, but is helpful. So apologies, I just didn't realize it cuts the time off. So Anne Marie Karp, you present?
Hi, Ms. West. Nan Glade gave me her time.
Thank you. I will find it, and we will provide you with 4 minutes if we can reset the clock.
Good afternoon. My name is,
Thank you.
and I respectfully urge that the HDLC deny the demolition application. Ted's Frost Top is not just a building. It's a piece of New Orleans memory. It's a part of the visual, cultural, emotional fabric of this neighborhood. It has stood in this corridor since 1955, and over the decades, it has become far more than a roadside diner. It is a rare surviving example of mid-century roadside architecture, a landmark that people recognize instantly, and a place that carries the spirit of a different era of this city. It has even served as a backdrop for 4 movies and 1 television series, which speaks to how deeply its image is woven in the identity of New Orleans. And this matters because this property is located in the partially controlled Carrollton Historic District where demolition is not automatic. Under the HDLC's own standards, this commission must consider the building's historic and architectural significance, its contribution to the character of the area, the alternative to demolition, its value, whether it can truly be reproduced and physically conditioned. The design of whatever may come next is not the issue before you today. Under those standards, demolition should be denied. Ted's Frost Stop has clear historical architectural significance. It is a rare surviving piece of New Orleans post-war commercial history. In a city celebrating for preserving its past, places like this matter precisely because they tell a different chapter of that story. Not grand mansions, not monuments, but everyday places where life of a city actually happened. Ted's Frost Top contributes profoundly to the character of the district. It is significant, not just a sign or mug or roof line. It's an entire place, its form, its setting, its scale. It's a familiar presence in the lives of people who have lived in the past, who visit it, remember it. Once this is gone, the character of this corridor is diminished forever. The point is very important. Just think about this. What are they replacing this iconic mid-century structure with? Not a thoughtful, architectural, beautiful building, but a 3-story rectangular box. And finally, if the HDLC staff has already concluded that this building has sufficient architectural and cultural significance to qualify for landmark status, that alone should give this commission pause. A resource worthy of landmark consideration is a resource worthy of preservation. Development can be redesigned. Demolition is irreversible. Again, demolition is irreversible. I ask you respectfully and urgently to deny this demolition application.
Thank you. Mayor Finkelstein?
Good afternoon. My name is Mayor Finkelstein. I live at 3520 Calhoun Street, which is down towards the other end. I was born here. I grew up elsewhere, but I've been back here since 1960, spending 7 years at Tulane. If this were any other city, it would be easy to say, tear it down, build your high-rise. That's not what New Orleans is about. What makes New Orleans unique are icons like Ted Frosttop. From when I was here to college, lived here the whole time since. It's a stopover. Friends come to town, we go there. Kids that were students when I was here, same thing. Tearing this down is part of our neighborhood, it's part of the fabric of this city. It's what makes New Orleans, New Orleans. Tulane can go build, they have plenty of ground to build a dormitory on. This is not LCMC or Oxnard where they just keep expanding and expanding. This is our city. We don't want to give up what makes it special. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Sternberg? Susan Sternberg? Okay.
My name's Susan Sternberg. I live at 1750 St. Charles Avenue. I'm the wife of Ted Sternberg, and it's been my privilege and honor to have been his wife and to have been part of this building and construction. I know that if he were alive, and I wish he were alive, that he would be just thrilled to hear the support for a building and a business that he loved and a neighborhood that he loved. I'm not sure what control I have over anything that happens here, but I wanted to thank everyone who has come out to support delaying, postponing, denying the demolition of a building, which is so close to my heart. Thank you.
Billy Marshall?
I'm Billy Marshall, live at 279 Audubon Boulevard. I'm the past president of the Audubon Boulevard Parkway Association, although I do not necessarily represent the whole neighborhood. I'm also a Tulane graduate. When you think about tearing things down, you also have to think about what's going to replace it. Tulane is in the driver's seat on this project. I was very cautious when I first read about the project, but when I saw Mark Robert was involved, I felt okay. I have warned him not to trust Tulane. Tulane is trying to mitigate the neighborhood impact and housing issues, moving him from one side of the Broadway to the other. Simply moving the parking problem from one side to the other. For 140, 160 students, wealthy, they're all going to have automobiles. The parking problem is going to get worse than it is right now on the north side of Broadway. Since parking is an issue, let me give a little bit of history about Tulane. I was in a meeting in Mayor Landrieu's office with the mayor there and representatives from Audubon Boulevard and Versailles Boulevard relative to the new football stadium going in. Tulane agreed to post police at the intersection of Claiborne and Fontainebleau for both Versailles and Audubon Boulevard during events to limit parking to residents only. I should have had the agreement in writing, notarized, and recorded. I did not. That was my mistake. They have reneged on this agreement, never posting police, and without responding to being questioned about it at public meetings. They just acted as if the question wasn't asked and ignored me. The mayor's office said it was up to Tulane. I don't trust Tulane as far as I can throw them. Pardon my French, because I only had 2 years of the language in 7th and 8th grade. But they are lying sons of bitches.
Daniel Samuels.
Thank you. Daniel Samuels, 1450 Moss Street. It's kind of hard to follow that act. I want to recognize and express appreciation for the staff's recognition of the architectural and cultural significance of Ted's Frost Stop. When I was an architecture student many years ago, there was a book, very influential book, titled Learning from Las Vegas. And one thing that book did was open the eyes of many in the design profession to the importance and cultural significance of buildings in this tradition. When I think about my own experiences at Ted's Frost Stop, that the way buildings like this reach out to you out on the street and invite you in off of the busy street for a Coke and a hamburger. For me, that experience was akin to being invited onto somebody's front porch. When I look at the renderings for the redevelopment, I don't see a front porch, I see a wall. I want to ask the commission to vote in recognition and support of the staff's recommendation to deny demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Johnson? And I have 3 cards, 1 for each property. So I'll provide 6 minutes on this one, just to note as the clock gets started.
Susan Johnson, 2822 LePage Street, Town of Carrollton Watch, Historic New Orleans Neighborhoods. I am not paid to be here. I want to thank the staff for their report denying the demolition of this neighborhood landmark. I submitted a petition from change.org at 3:30 yesterday as a public comment with 1,250 signatures asking the HDLC to deny the demolition. The number of signatures is currently 24 hours later, over 1,900. I wanted to also thank the PRC and Louisiana Landmarks Society for their support of this issue and their support of the Versailles and Calhoun neighborhoods. As Town of Carrollton Watch, I have been watching, monitoring, tracking private dorm development in the University area neighborhood for 6 years. Much of this development has been facilitated by Zach Smith and his team. When the Tulane press release came out, March 23rd, maybe a day or two later, I checked on One Stop, the Safety and Permits website, for a zoning verification for the demolition redevelopment of these 3 parcels. A zoning verification letter lists the zoning uses that apply to a particular parcel. It does not have to be a discrete application separate from the building permit. Finding none, and these weeks later, I took it upon myself to apply for zoning verification request for the 3 parcels this morning to serve as a baseline for the zoning analysis. This will hopefully prove helpful to the public anyway. As Mr. Schmidt indicated, it's really not clear what the zoning is on this project. Also, I wanted to point out last time at the HDLC, March 11th, we sort of touched upon this topic, a similar discussion about the demolition of non-contributing properties. There were 2 individual houses on the ranch houses on the 7300 block of Ferret and another property on Lower Line that will be demolished for dorms, D2Ds. Mr. Smith is applicant for the Ferret Street properties. All applications were approved by the HDLC, and I and 2 other parties have appealed these approvals to the City Council. So on March 11th, I noted that the problem of, I talked about the problem of demolishing non-contributing buildings in partial control historic districts for the construction of, excuse me, over-amassed, hyper-dense buildings with insufficient parking. The same thing is happening here. Non-contributing buildings will be demolished for uses that will impinge significantly on the residential neighborhoods. Finally, I'd like to make a very unpopular suggestion that Carrollton has finally apply for full control historic districting. I realize this is unpopular for many reasons, but maybe it's time. We've tried so hard to stanch dorm development in the neighborhoods, and nothing has worked. Zoning appeals, nothing seems to work. The cards are stacked against us, so that's the administration, the current administration would likely be amenable to it. It's another option. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete Addix? Pete Addix?
Hello, friends. Pete Addix, 4665 Dart Street. Look, I didn't grow up here. Everybody else here seems to have. I didn't grow up with Ted's. I did grow up in a place called Baltimore, and Baltimore had a massive diner culture. Till about 1999, 2000. Something happened, people stopped wanting burgers. They stopped wanting BLTs. Happens. Thing is, they started demolishing the diners. We've got 1940s to 1955 architecture just leveled. Poof, gone. You got the State Diner. It was gorgeous. It was a rail car brought in, lots of chrome. That is currently a defunct used car lot. You had the Belloc Diner, huge amounts of neon, big angles, gorgeous. That turned into a Starbucks. The Starbucks started getting robbed on a regular basis. It's now defunct too. So we have useless property at the top of a hill where we used to have beacons of light. For those who say, hey, it's a dorm, it's too big to fail, it won't go defunct, I want you to see Bienville Hall at UNO, which is defunct, and 8 stories high. Look, guys, I can ride a bike to Ted's. I got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. I want to play some pinball. And look, if it's a non-contributing property, we can change the restaurant program. Menus are flexible, man. 70-year-old neon, not so much. I request that you deny the motion to demolish Ted's Frost Stop. That's about it. Have a good day, friends.
Thank you. Nikki Solzwinski? Please state your name and address for the record.
Nikki Savinsky, 1011 St. Philip. Ironically, I was in Antigua, Guatemala when I got this message about what's going on. We go there because very little changes. The renovations are done over the Easter holiday because no one's there to enforce it. It's much like what we see in New Orleans. Things are done without enforcement. At any rate, if this were, I'm not from here, y'all know that, If this were an A-frame Whataburger, there would be even more outrage. If this were an In-N-Out in Southern California, what would happen? It is a little befuddling that this is even a proposal because there should have been anticipation of this sort of outcry. This is an iconic building, and it's unfortunate that it isn't protected already, but if every structure like this were broken down in the New Orleans area, like how many would there be? It's almost as though they don't have, buildings like this do not have anyone advocating for them, and that is really unfortunate. But this should have been foreseen. To take down this iconic building that was designed as a statement, as a sort of building, and put a banal to the lot line, 3-story building, probably because that's what's allowed in the neighborhood, and then just plaster the remnants of the Frost Stop on it is just kind of offensive. It's not preserving anything, it's just giving a little bit of sway, a little wave to what was there. It's unfortunate. Tulane students should see that a city is a quilt of history, and they should be allowed to see it always.
Thank you. Thank you to the staff and to Vice Chair Commissioner King for organizing all these cards really well. Thank you. Have we missed any public comment here? If so, you can come up and state your name and address right now and make your comment.
Do you have to have a card?
No, you do not, because I had one that I called but no one responded. But if anyone else wants to speak. Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard Martin. I didn't fill out one of those cards. I live on Versailles Boulevard, number 20. I was the neighborhood president once upon a time. And I was very surprised by reading the paper to find out that we were about to have, it's called a dorm. It's really a private apartment building where I think through some very behind-the-scenes sharp practices, this building was planned, and of course Tulane is more than willing to supply it with tenants, so it would always be full. Now, I've seen the design. It has all the charm of a dumpster. I'd hate to be at number one and have that blocking off my morning sun. I'd hate to be at number one and have the pile driving going on. But the real problem is not the motives and the way it's been handled. It's that this is a part of America that went up when we'd won World War II. My dad was a Navy veteran of that war. Any of you know what Route 66 is, the Mother Highway? That's what's left of America from an age when America could do everything. When we saw the USA in our Chevrolet. That's what Ted's is. I probably had my first hamburger there in the 1950s. I live a block away. I've patronized the restaurant since then. Typically, it is full of carpenters, electricians, plumbers for breakfast, and at lunch, its business thrives. If this new building goes up, this apartment building, we all know the kids at Tulane all have their own cars. There's going to be no parking. Those guys won't show up. They'll abandon it. And it won't matter if the mug's on the front or the neon sign, because that building is toast. The business, the restaurant will be toast. They're not preserving anything. They're making money. They're assuring themselves of Tulane filling that building for them. They're turning everything over to Tulane.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment on these three applications? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record. And I'll make one more call after this, and please be ready to stand up if you want to speak on these applications, because we are all ready to discuss.
Thank you. I'm Richard McNulty. I live at 5705 Britannia. I grew up on Broadway in Claiborne. My father would take me there quite often with my brother and my mother, and he often talked about how it operated as something called a third place which is very important in community. And that's been operating as a third space for people outside of work, outside of home. It's a different place where you can go and make connections with people in your community. You destroy the building, you take away that. It won't be the same. Of course, it's beautiful. It is a bit odd that this has happened very much under the radar. That's why everybody's here right now, telling you not to do this, because we don't want you to do this. It's a part of our history. It's beautiful. You can see how emotional it makes people. And I think if you look inside your hearts, you'll know it's not the right thing to do. Please vote no on the demolition. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I have lots of things that I'd like to cover on this, just to make sure we have a very large audience here, and I want to make sure it's very clear what the Historic District Landmarks Commission has control over in review of this application. So I'm going to ask the staff, can you explain both that this is non-contributing, and then additionally, if we can explain what it means to be in Carrollton partial control. And I'd also like you to clarify when Carrollton partial control came under jurisdiction.
Happy to do so.
Thank
The
you.
Carrollton Partial Control Demolition Review Only District came under the jurisdiction of the HDLC in 2017 after a long
Can you
public,
speak up, please?
after a long
Thank you.
public process to review the proposal. The neighborhood chose partial control demolition review only, and so the HDLC reviews and makes decisions on applications for items that meet demolition definition adopted by the HDLC and the City Council. The buildings in our 4 partial control historic districts, Parkview, Mid-City, Carrollton, and Uptown, we adopted the ratings that were performed by the FEMA survey that was done after Katrina. They have a rating system that includes contributing and non-contributing. The HDLC did not have the staffing to do a comprehensive survey of all 4 historic districts to comprehensively give each building a rating. Having said that, the National Register uses contributing and non-contributing, and the HDLC uses that information in order to make its recommendations to this commission. A non-contributing rating does not automatically permit the demolition of a historic structure. If so, the guidelines would state that those buildings could be approved at the staff level. The guidelines do not allow the staff to approve buildings over 1,000 square feet that are rated non-contributing at the staff level. Those items are brought to you. That is because a public hearing needs to be held, and in the time in between the application is filed and the staff is made aware of these applications, we do research in order to provide you with a full comprehensive picture of what is at stake. The HDLC did not put in an application for landmark designation of this building. That is correct. The HDLC had no reason to think this building was threatened. I personally am still surprised that it is. Having said that, I get calls all day long from developers. I get calls all day long from permit analysts, people facilitating demolition in the city. They ask our opinion. They call and say, what's the rating of this building? What do you think the chances are about getting approval for the demolition of this building? And we work with those applicants in good faith. The HDLC had no prior knowledge of this demolition application being filed. They met with the City Planning Commission, and they also met with the council's office, but they did not reach out to the HDLC, and had they, we would have given them a very clear understanding that this would be an uphill battle because of the cultural and architectural significance of the building.
Can you repeat that one more time? I know that there are folks in the back struggling to hear, and I just want to make sure they can hear that component.
The HDLC, I guess which part are you asking me to repeat?
I just want to make sure that it's clear that the HDLC was not contacted prior to this application being submitted by the development team.
To my knowledge, not to discuss whether or not the building would be a good candidate for demolition,
Okay,
which
thank
is
you.
fairly standard practice that in relationship we have with realtors, developers, contractors, so that they get their information prior to doing any applications. We didn't have those discussions. I think that had we had any knowledge, the idea that the building was threatened would obviously have led to an effort to try to stop a demolition. But that would be why a landmark the argument seems to be it's not a designated landmark, so we shouldn't be putting forth the denial of a recommendation to deny it. And that's my answer to that.
Great. One more question. Regarding the staff report, we see staff reports every meeting. I just want to clarify, this staff report appears very much in line with the staff reports that we receive on all projects. I just want to make sure that y'all agree on that. There was a note from the applicant that they felt that this staff report is unfair and passionate. There were a number of other words that were used, but I just want to make sure that this, in what we're seeing, this looks like the normal staff reports that we receive on all projects and all demolition. So I just wanted to see if you could speak to that.
Yeah, that is correct. This is exactly the same kind of report that we do for any project. I think that maybe that you're seeing a lot of research had gone into this. It is an unusual application in that, yes, the building is outside the period of significance. I wanted to clarify something that the applicant said, saying that the report had claimed this to be a landmark, when that is not correct. It says in the report that it is perceived as an informal landmark in the public realm. That's not the same thing. So I just wanted to make sure that there was no misunderstanding.
Thank you. And then I just want to reiterate, because I know that we heard a lot of public comments, and I want to make sure that this is clear as well, to Mr. Ryan's comment about we are the last stop. We are not the last stop. I just want to let you know that whatever this commission votes today, in either way, either decision is appealable to council. That is why I read a very long speech at the beginning of every meeting, and I make sure to read every word of it. And after all the applications, remind them that it is appealable to city council. It is on either side. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. To Mr. Ryan's comment additionally about what we review, we, as the staff noted, this is in partial control HDLC, so we do not have review or purview over what is put back in its place. So while we may have heard a lot of comments regarding the architectural character of its replacement, we can't take that under review and advisement for this committee. We heard a lot of comments today regarding zoning and use. That is also not under our purview for review. All that we have jurisdiction over reviewing is the partial controlled demolition application, which is just demolition only. And as such, I think this commission knows that. We've reviewed a lot of applications. We have a commission that's very well versed in reviewing the partial demolition applications. And again, I think the staff report is very clear. I also would like to ask Mr. Robert to come forth. I'd like to ask you a couple questions regarding ownership, if you're available. Can you clarify the ownership of the parcel?
By entity?
By entity, yes.
The ownership of the parcel is owned by, or parcels.
Parcels. Yeah, so RCC Claiborne Venture, correct, owns the parcels?
Correct. There's 3 parcels, 2 of which are owned by RCR Venture LLC, RCR Claiborne Venture LLC, and then one of the other parcels is RCR Claiborne Venture 3 LLC, okay. I believe.
And I just want to clarify this. So as the staff noted, this district has been partial control district since 2017. When did you purchase the property for the Frost Stop? What year?
3100 Calhoun
Yes.
Street. We purchased it in 2025.
Great, okay. I just want to make sure that was clear as well. So nothing has changed in terms of the regulations and how we review these applications. The partial control has been in place since 2017, and you purchased in 2025. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear, both for you and for everyone else as we review this. Additionally, there was a lot of mention about NDA, and I would like to clarify, can you explain the NDA in regards to discussions with the city? I just want to clarify that you did not have an NDA in place with the HDLC or anyone that's here representing this?
No.
Okay. Did the NDA prevent your applicant from speaking to the staff?
We didn't, I'm sorry, I'm not following. You asked, did we have an NDA
Yeah,
with
so
the
there
staff?
a lot of the, and I want to make sure it's really clear, because the last thing we want with the press here and other folks is that anyone here was involved and that the staff at the city could not speak to the applicant in the normal way that they would on other projects. And I don't believe, and I'll just ask the staff too, the staff did not sign an NDA with the applicant?
No.
Correct. And so the NDA, there is no NDA involved with this. So I just want to make sure that that's clear in terms of review. And apologies that I need to clarify this, but I just want to make sure that the regular process and procedures, the staff could follow that the way they would with any other application that comes in front of them. So I would just like you to confirm that you do not have an NDA that prevented between the city.
I do not have an NDA with the HDLC or the city.
Okay, great. Correct. Thank you. That's all I wanted to make sure that was clear as well. I am trying to just hit on the highlights that we heard from the public comments, so as you understand when we review this application, that we have everything that's on the table. We have, I feel like, heard a lot about this project. We have a very thorough report in front of us. I think we have heard an abundance of public comment on this application. I would like to see if other commissioners want to speak to this application. Mr. Smith, do you have additional comments?
If I may, I believe we're allowed a rebuttal to the opposition as per
sure.
the rules.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. Typically, it's 6 minutes. I'm not going to ask for 3 times 6 since there were 3 properties, if that's okay. I do appreciate that all those questions and commentary were done prior to all of the public comment. But kind of to start off, you know, there's comments about the Tennessee Williams quote. It's always surprising because this institution was started 200 miles from Cleveland, the city that a lot of folks like to just rain negativity on, you know. As a person born at Baptist Hospital in Napoleon, I do not share the same sentiment against people from other states or other locales. So I guess I'll speak on behalf of everybody else. When it comes to why this restaurant, again, cannot be salvaged, remember that in the new proposal, the restaurant space is actually getting larger because it functionally is not working for a modern day, even for TEDs. The new management team, which is keeping the existing staff, need to be able to grow. We've talked about the signs, we know that. Since the commentary kind of happened after, again, I in no way, shape, or form meant to say that the staff report is somehow different in terms of the sections, but I note that we did just a quick review, and since January 2025, there's been 13 request for demolition of non-contributing. Again, not my words, the HDLC's words. And 13 out of 13 have not only received the approval and the recommendation of the staff, and they've used the same rubric to call out the fact that buildings in good nature were not somehow deemed unable to be demolished because they were in good status. They were just listed as that. We have other properties that were, again, recommended by the staff and approved by this commission that noted the fact that there was no redevelopment plan. So a lot of these things, again, are being used in that rubric as a negative point to this project and somehow to go against this project, where what I'm making the point is 13 out of 13 non-contributing buildings that this staff has looked at in the last year and 3 months they've used the same format to come up with a different outcome. Again, we talked about the fact that if we were to use the words tout ensemble and we look at this building, could we put this in modern day in this neighborhood or the Lower Garden District or the French Quarter? We would use those words against this building. So again, to somehow say that this architecture meets that criteria, we're just going to have to disagree on that. There's no way to say it's both so architecturally significant to the fabric of the neighborhood, which the report does, and then know that it couldn't possibly be done today under the same architectural aesthetic. If it was demolished and we put it back exactly as is, we would have problems with that from the preservation standpoint. And when we get to, yes, the district started in 2017, I totally understand that. Again, we're starting to add different barriers and saying, okay, now in addition to looking at the rules as posted by the HDLC, it's now incumbent upon people to go and ask the staff and get their opinion and do this ahead of time. What is the purpose of having these things listed if they don't matter? What is the purpose of having any of this if it does not matter? And we say, oh, well, they could have asked us. And then as it was pointed out, we would have started putting up roadblocks to stop this demolition. Again, we've seen roadblocks being put up to stop this demolition. It may very well be one of the reasons why we did not call in advance, because we looked at the publicly available data as we are allowed to and as we're required to us. Again, this commission regularly, I'll use a better word, preaches to the public about following the rules, fines people in the tens of thousands of dollars for sometimes tearing down one more window than is required because somebody didn't check One Stop or the internet before. This project did that. And this project is, in fact, being treated differently than every other non-contributing building, as evidenced by the fact that 13 out of 13. Since I have 2 minutes left, just to press the point, we have one particular project, the same sections, the historic or architectural significance of the building structure is designated by its rating, non-contributing rated, period. In our report, we got it's not contributing, and then it followed with a comma, however, and 3 paragraphs. We go into the spot of the condition of the building. Again, this is another project, another one that actually was recommended by approval for staff because it's non-contributing and blessed by this commission. But staff completed an exterior visual inspection of the building and determined the building to be in good condition. Roof appears to be in good condition. The exterior brick walls appear plumb and stable, and the building appears to have been consistently occupied previously and generally well maintained. Recommendation for demolition, no objection. That is the point that I made in the beginning of this process, is that 13 to 13. Now, we stopped at January 1st, 2025. I've been doing this a little bit of time. You guys have been doing a little bit of time. I bet if we went to 2024 and 2023 and 2022, all the way back to 2017, we'd see a very consistent pattern. So the idea that the public, in this case, this development team, is not able to rely on that information and that sort of precedent is now, again, starting to change the rules mid-sentence. And I fundamentally think that that is unfair. I think that anybody else that is going to ever get caught breaking the rules and be told, hey, you didn't follow this and you didn't look at this and you didn't check in advance, the team checked in advance. There is no requirement, and they should not be denied because somebody didn't pick up a phone call and call the HDLC, the same HDLC that has gone against 13 out of 13 of the last 15 months. Okay? I understand. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We hope that you can approve the demolition today. Thank you.
Thank you. I just would like to make sure that the staff on this, again, this application, non-contributing projects are not automatically assumed that they can be demolished, as noted with the staff. So if it was, I will refrain from that, but if it is not, again, we regulate by the guidelines, we regulate through this, but if it is to assume that a non-contributing building can automatically be demolished in the HDLC district without review and coming to the commission, that is simply not true. Additionally, we have not seen since January of 2025 a project with this character on a non-contributing building. I don't know in terms of looking back at further years, but this is very much, I think, as the staff is noting in here, a very different project with, again, they note this as well. There's 2 of 4 criteria that are noted in here. And I think they've done a great job going through this. If the staff wants to speak to that one more time, I just want to make sure that it's clear to the public. We know that in terms of what we're regulating as guidelines and what we see in front of us as applications, because that is why we have to review the demolition applications for non-contributing buildings.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner West. I think that you've really laid that out quite well. I just want to, give some visual to some of this. We have, in the past several months, been reviewing several non-contributing residential buildings throughout our historic districts, generally small ranch houses of no architectural merit. They may or may not be in good condition. And if you compared those buildings, or let's say an industrial building in part of the neighborhood versus this building that is a very distinctive architectural character, it has much cultural appreciation throughout the community, which is what the report and the comments have all expressed. I think for the other 13 non-contributing buildings that were reviewed by this, none of them had 2 hours worth of public comment. So I think it speaks to the fact that the HDLC took this seriously and recognized the fact that, yes, this was built not outside of the period of significance, but this building is different. And I think the public response to this has indicated that.
Thank you. And I think, just to note, I think the commission has been incredibly consistent in terms of review of applications. The commissioners that are on here do review and consider all of them and review the staff reports thoroughly. So with that, I think we can conclude discussion. I would like to see if there are any commissioners with comments on this application. If not, I'm going to look to Commissioner Irvin. This is in your district.
Yeah, I do wish that the developers had engaged the community a little bit earlier on. You would have hopefully had a better understanding of how treasured the community feels this building is. It is an incredible and increasingly rare example of mid-century modern commercial buildings. For that reason, I'm going to recommend denial.
Commissioner Lupin, second.
Just to make sure we dot all our i's and cross our t's, we need to make 3 separate motions. So
Absolutely.
I'm imagining this is a motion for 3100 Calhoun.
Thank you for correction. Yes. Okay. This is for 3100 Calhoun Street. We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Irvin, seconded by Commissioner Lupin. I'd like to do a roll call on this just to be abundantly clear that we have the votes counted. Thank you.
Okay. Please say yes in favor of the motion to deny the demolition or no in opposition. Jim Ashby? Yes. Tim Lupin? Yes. Ross Carson? Jason King? Yes. Greg Hackenberg? Yes. Shawanda Poray? Annie Irvin? Annie Clark? Yes. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. To the applicant. Please hold your applause for a moment. Your application's been denied by the HDLC Commission, and you have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing, and the staff will furnish you with the details of this appeals process. Item B, 630709 South Miro Street. If the public can let us conclude these 3, we would appreciate it. It will just allow it to go a little bit faster before you exit. Thank you. Item B, 6307-09 South Miro Street. Do we have a motion? Commissioner Irvin?
I'm going to move that we defer this so that the developer can have time to consider any necessary updates given this recent denial of the demolition.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second to that? Commissioner King seconds. Okay, let's do a roll call as well, I guess, on this one.
Okay, roll call vote. Jim Ashby, Tim Lupin, Ross Carson, Jason King, Greg Hackenberg, Shawanda Poray, Annie Irvin, Annie Clark. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Item C, 6309 to 11 South Claiborne Avenue. Do we have a motion on this application?
I'll make the same motion to defer.
Thank you, Commissioner Irvin. Is there a second to that? Thank you, Commissioner King. We'll do a roll call on this one as well.
Roll call vote. Jim Ashby, Tim Lupin, Ross Carson, Jason King, Greg Hackenberg, Shawanda Poray, Annie Irvin, Annie Clark. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. On all of those, just as a note, your application, if it's deferred, as y'all know, you can also appeal that as well from HDLC, and you have 10 calendar days from the date of this meeting to appeal to City Council in writing, and you have, the staff will furnish you with the details of that appeals process, and that goes for items 3100 Calhoun, 6307 to 09 South Miro Street, and 6309 to 11 South Claiborne Avenue. Thank you all. And thank you to everyone for being present and making your comments on both sides of the development. It greatly helps when the public is here and that we can have a robust conversation. So thank you very much. Okay. Item D is 3110 St. Anne Street. This application has been removed from the agenda. Item E, 710 3rd Street. Is the applicant present? And with that, Commissioner Hackenberg is going to recuse himself.
Yes, I'm the professional of record on the project.
Thank you. Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Daniel Samuels, 1450 Moss Street.
And just a note to the public, if you can take your conversations outside of this room, we would appreciate it. We are trying to get through the other applications as quickly as possible today because they've been patiently waiting. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Samuels. The staff will make their presentation and we'll hear comments following.
This is an application for the demolition of a contributing rated one-story single-family residential building to grade and full control Irish Channel. FEMA survey research estimates the double shotgun was constructed between 1880 and 1890 and first appears on the 1887 Sanborn map. The building maintains very little of its historic architectural integrity beyond the footprint and massing. It currently has vinyl, aluminum doors and windows, and a brick veneer cladding. The applicant did originally apply for a renovation, with the building permit being issued on March 9th. However, once the interior finishes were removed and the condition of the structure revealed, the applicant submitted a demolition application. At the interior and exterior visual inspection of the structure, it was found to be in very poor condition. At the exterior, the asphalt shingle roof appeared to be in fair condition. However, the roof framing exhibited significant deflection. The front stoops were also settling and shifting inward. At the interior, which had been recently gutted, the building was found to have little to no foundation or piers. There were only stacks of unsecured bricks supporting the floor structure. Very few sills were present, and those that remained were in significant deteriorated condition. The floor joists exhibited insect damage and showed deterioration likely due to ground exposure. Many were resting directly on the ground. Some of the interior wall studs rested on a section of tongue and groove flooring without any structure beneath. There was nearly a total absence of sill plates throughout. Barge board was present, however the wood wall framing was substandard and structurally insufficient. The exterior brick veneer was visible from the interior. Similarly, the ceiling exhibited substandard framing consisting of a mix of older ceiling joists and rafters with newer wood sheathing installed on top. It is always unfortunate to lose a building of this age, but a renovation would require the installation of a new foundation and complete reconstruction of the framing system and would basically result in a new construction. As such, staff has no objection to the demolition with the proviso that the C of A for the demolition not be issued until the redevelopment plans have been approved.
Thank you. Mr. Samuels, the staff report is recommending, it says no objection to this demolition. Are you in agreement with that? Oh. I don't know if the mic is not on, and I'm not sure who's controlling the mic right now.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay,
It's on.
okay. I think the staff report is very complete and accurate, and all I can do is offer to answer if any of the commissioners have any questions.
Commissioners, do we have any questions on this? No questions? Is there any public comment on this application? Seeing as there's no public comment, commissioners? This is an Irish channel. Yes. Hackenberg had to recuse himself.
I'll make a motion to approve the demolition with the proviso as described in the staff report.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner King. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you. 200 North Galvez Street. Is the applicant present? Please state your name and address for the record.
Ron Lazo, 1000 South Normandy, Francis.
Thank you.
This is an application for the demolition or obscuration of more than 50% of the roof structure at a non-contributing rated one-story commercial building. The building was constructed between 1965 and 75 outside the period of significance for the Mid-City Historic District. The applicant is requesting to obscure 79% of the existing flat roof structure with a new sloped roof to create mechanical space. Because low-slope/slat roofs are generally ill-suited for the high rainfall conditions typical of New Orleans, and the proposed roof line is lower than the adjacent buildings, HDLC staff does not object to the applicant's proposal.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
I'd like to thank the staff and the commission for all the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this application? There's no public comment, commissioners?
I'd like to make a motion to have no objection to the demolition based on the staff report.
Thank you, Commissioner Clark. Is that seconded by Commissioner King? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Old business retention applications. I'll do this last one and then yes, okay. Old business retention applications, item A, 1940 St. Claude Avenue. Is anyone present for this project? Great. Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
Name is Ray Mitchell. I live at 2912 Middle Street in Violet.
Thank you.
This is an application for the retention of inappropriate roof shingle color installed at a non-contributing rated one-story commercial building in deviation of C of A and full control Marigny. At the March meeting, the commission voted to defer action on this application until the following meeting to allow the applicant additional time to review alternative sign options recommended by staff, as well as other sign design approaches that may better align with HDLC guidelines. Since this previous meeting, the applicant has agreed to remove the previous signage raceway and to remount the channel letters directly to the wall. So as such, this issue has been resolved at the staff level. However, the inappropriate roof shingle colors must still be reviewed. The asphalt shingle roof on this building was installed recently as part of the renovation and new rear addition of the structure. However, brown roof shingles were installed as the standard instead of the standard pre-approved list, which generally are in the darker gray to black range. However, because the roof ridge tiles were salvaged and reinstalled on the new roof, the overall building has been substantially renovated and returned to commerce. Because the brown shingles are expected to weather over time to a darker overall appearance, staff has no objection to the request for retention, with the proviso that if approval is granted, the shingle color, an appropriate shingle color must be used in the future when roof replacement is next requested.
Thank you. To the applicant, do you wish to address the commission?
Thank you.
We appreciate, I know we heard this at the last meeting, we appreciate you working with staff to correct the sign. I think that was the major item we were discussing last time. In terms of the roof shingle color, I believe we discussed at the last meeting that we were in agreement that there was no objection to this. Yes, but commissioners, is there any public comment on this application? No public comment, commissioners?
Are you going to do the buffet?
No.
No?
My childhood, so my
I
wife
can't
wanted
say
me to
that.
ask.
I actually don't do the operations of it.
Oh, my wife is an advocate, so she wanted me to ask. Thank you for all your.
But you
for
couldn't
staying
just
around.
sit down and enjoy a pizza there.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, not in the guidelines.
I don't know. I was really excited.
I noticed that the sign already got repaired. I was really impressed how quickly that was done. I moved to allow the retention with the proviso as stated in the staff report that when it's replaced, the color be submitted.
Thank you. So a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Commissioner Lupin seconds. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you and good luck with your project. And thank you again for correcting the sign. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you. With that, I'm going to hand the meeting over to Commissioner King. I need to step out for the remainder of the day. So thank y'all.
Next up is item A under Roman numeral, I think that's 8. It's going to be 723, 725 Montague Street. Is applicant present? Could you please state your name and your address?
Thank you. It's Paul Massa, M-A-S-S-A, and it's 6844 Louisville, New Orleans.
Thank you for your patience. We're going to read this and then get back to you.
Thank you.
This is the application for the retention of wooden doors as gates at a contributing rated one-story, two-family residential building without a certificate of appropriateness. The building was constructed sometime between 1880 and 1890 according to the FEMA survey and does not appear on the Sanborn map until 1896. Sometime between February 2025 and December of 2025, the wooden doors were installed without permits. The HDLC guidelines state that fences, walls, and gates must be historically consistent with the style with the type and style of the main building. The proposed wooden doors as gate is not typically historically consistent or appropriate fencing type for this property. Additionally, the HDLC requires review and approval of all details and materials for compliance with HDLC standards. These doors were installed without a certificate of appropriateness and therefore were not reviewed for compliance prior to install. Based on these reasons, staff recommends denial.
Thank you. Would you like to make any statements to the commission? You have 2 minutes.
I didn't hear the last thing. Did she recommend yes or no?
She recommended denial.
I'd ask that they be retained because it's just strictly for the security of it. You can see that on the next door over, which is abandoned, they have the hurricane fence, the wire diamond, and it's up and it's down, and it's not falling down, it's being taken down. People want to get in there, they get in there, but they're not getting past that wooden door. And that's really the only reason it's there is you can't get past that. If you try to get past that, everybody's going to know about it, and you're going to be sorry. They've got two residents, and they're very concerned that once somebody's past that, in that alley, then you call the police after it's too late. We're just asking that they can maintain what they have for the security of it. It doesn't even have to be forever, but when maybe things are a little bit better and you're not so insecure about your protection, your safety, then, go back to the hurricane fence, I guess. But what is there now works, and that's the only reason they've got it, and that's why they've asked to keep it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the HDLC doesn't have an issue with a solid wood door. In fact, I mean, solid wood gate. In fact, we can easily recommend that. What we do have an issue with is that these are actual doors and not gates, and so it's not an appropriate material for a gate in an alleyway, and they were installed without C of A's, so we can work with this applicant to provide details or suggestions for the same security, but with a more appropriate material.
That would be great. You were totally down with that.
Thanks for that clarification. I think as the applicant is up for this, I'm going to make a motion for denial, but just work with the staff and they can give you another detail
We'll
that
work
they can
together
approve.
and come to a solution.
Great, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. I want to say, everybody, you're doing a great job. There's no winners or losers, because when New Orleans wins, we're all winning. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So everybody voted yes. So we're all in agreement. He's been denied. You have 10 calendar days to appeal to City Hall, or you can work with the staff and keep it going. We appreciate you. Thank you for your patience. On to item B, 1413 Columbia Street. Is the applicant present? Columbus Street.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your name and your address for the record?
My name is Jill Sussman, and I live at 351 Blackbird Station Road in Townsend, Delaware.
Thank you.
This is an application for the retention of inappropriate windows at a contributing rated two-story, two-family residential building without a certificate of appropriateness. 1413 Columbus Street is a contributing rated building located in Tremay Street. The FEMA survey estimates the building was constructed around 1910, but it does not appear on the Sanborn until 1937. Between 2019 and 2021, the rear left side 6/2 wood window was replaced with a 6/6 vinyl window. After 2022, all wood windows visible from the street were replaced with 1/1 vinyl windows. The HDLC guidelines state that historic wood windows should be repaired repaired whenever possible, and that if the replacement is necessary, new windows should match an original size, shape, configuration, operation, mutton pattern, etc. The guidelines also state that wood windows on street-facing elevations may not be replaced with vinyl or aluminum windows. Windows on the front facade should remain wood. Although the windows are recessed within the wall, the replacement windows do not match the original size, configuration, and mud pattern or material. The current windows do not match the original design and are highly visible from the street and cannot be approved. Staff recommends the two front windows be replaced with wood windows to match the original 4/4 configuration. For the right side windows, replacement windows may be approved in an alternative material, provided that they match the original 6/6 size, shape, and configuration. Windows on the left side may remain as installed if full screens are added to reduce their visibility from the public right-of-way.
Thank you. Do you have any comments for the staff?
I missed the last thing she said. The windows on the left, what was the after that?
The windows on the left, they can remain if full screens are added to hide their visibility from the public right-of-way.
Full screens?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think it's fair. I'm not from here. I didn't know. It's the first one I've done here. I came here and fell in love. And after sitting through this meeting today, I totally get it. I'm a little bit obsessed at this point. So I just didn't know. And I appreciate you guys working with me and helping me figure out how to move forward with it.
Thank you.
I did hire a contractor, but you know how that goes.
Can I ask a quick question, staff? The windows on the right, you said the screens are okay on the left-hand side, but would screens be okay on the right-hand side too, or what's the purpose on that? Is it just because they're more visible on the right-hand side that you wouldn't recommend screens?
Yeah, on the right-hand side, they're just like highly visible versus the right side, they're a little bit further back. They're a little less visible, so we thought full screens could be acceptable for those.
I would just make a motion to support the staff report. The only thing I would add is that if the applicant chooses, they could also replace the windows 7 and 8 with an alternate material. Because for your own purposes, rather than putting screens over two windows, you might want all your windows to match. So I just want to give you flexibility on that.
I appreciate that.
Would you like to make a motion?
So my motion is to support the staff report, but with the additional point that Windows 7 and 8 could also be replaced with an alternate material if the applicant chooses to do so.
Okay, a second? Lupin seconds that one. Can we get a vote from all the commissioners? Everybody's good? Thank you. Your application's been denied with some provisos. I think you're clear. You can work with the staff on it in terms of getting those fixes made. You did. You all said we were okay. Well, I might not have been great about it. I think we voted, but we're going to vote again. Everybody okay? Oh, nobody was against it, correct? I apologize, guys. I'm a little slow. I'm sorry. Yeah, everybody was okay with it. So, not okay with it, it got denied. And there were he gave you some provisos in terms of how you want to play with the windows. I think the staff will be your best.
I'm having
conduit.
such trouble hearing you. So do I just call to figure out what's next?
Yes, you would
Okay.
work with your staff on how you want to do your windows. I think you were talking about the screens. He talked about some other options.
Do I
You
need
were
to come
curious.
back?
You don't need to come back.
Okay.
You have 10 calendar days if you want to appeal it at City Hall. You'll get a letter, but your staff member will be the best person to talk to.
Okay.
HLC.
Okay.
I just want to quickly say to the applicant, since she's new to this, please do not do the work without getting a certificate of appropriateness.
I got it now.
Yeah, and reach out to Michaela, and if you want to do something, the motion included an alternate, so just make sure that that's approved as well.
Motion included an alternate?
If you want to do the other windows, just make sure that they're all approved and on the certificate.
Oh,
So just talk to Michaela.
so this is not the right place to ask questions, right?
No, we'll talk to you. You can
Okay.
reach out afterwards.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, but it is right people to ask, just not right now. But thank you, we appreciate it. Item D, 823, 825 Atlantic Ave, is the applicant present?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for your patience. Can you please just state your name and your address for the record?
My name is Darlene Jacobs Levy. I live at 832 St. Louis Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, I am so sorry. I have to go back to C. I have to sit back down, but you'll be right back up. I'm sorry, I had to skip the letter. I'm sorry. I appreciate you, though. I know it's a lot up and down. It'll be 4308, 4310 North Rampart Street. Is that applicant present?
Hello.
Could you please just state your name and your address for the record?
Yeah, I'm Bonnie Porter. I live at 4310 North Rampart.
Thank you.
This is the application for retention of inappropriate windows at a contributing rated one-story, two-family residential building without a certificate of appropriateness. According to the FEMA survey, the building was constructed between 1920 and 1930 and does not appear on the Sanborn maps until 1937. Sometime in 2025, the original 6/2 windows were replaced with inappropriate vinyl windows with half screens. The HDLC guidelines state that historic wood windows should be replaced whenever possible, and when replacement is necessary, new windows should match the originals. Although the replacement windows are recessed within the wall, they do not match the original configuration or profile of the wood windows. Due to their visibility on the public right-of-way, the vinyl windows cannot be approved. Staff recommends that windows 1, 2, 4, and 6, which are highly visible from the public right-of-way, be replaced in kind to match the original 6/2 configuration. Windows 3, 5, and 7, while still visible, are set further back, and staff recommends that they remain with the proviso that full screens are added to reduce their visibility from the public right-of-way.
Thank you. Would you like to make any comments to the staff?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I cannot install wood windows because I got a six-figure quote for them, and I do not have a six-figure bank account. I am hoping that there's something I can do to keep these windows. Maybe I could add grids to them to match the mutton configuration of the original windows, or put full screens over them, or both, or open to other ideas.
I think we do have the unique opportunity here, maybe between a hardship and the fact that the windows are recessed, to do a screen approach. I will mention, just to clarify, that I think there's two number 4 windows in the diagram. No biggie, but just in terms of where we land on this. I'm assuming number 4, which is the 4th back on the left side, really is meant to be number 5 as described in the report. So I'll make a motion to allow the owner to retain the windows with full screens according to the HDLC guidelines being installed, and that if adding a proviso that if windows are replaced in the future, that they be done according to the guidelines.
Thank you.
Is there a second to that motion? Thank you. We have a second. Can we vote on it? Everybody in agreement? Apologize for do the hands for this one. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. That's unanimous. The motion has been approved. If you have any questions, you can work with the staff.
Okay.
There's a
How
little
long
bit
do
the
I have
hardship
to?
thing. I think that part,
do
you
this?
should reach out to the staff. There's some questions that you're gonna wanna unpack on that one.
Sorry?
There's a hardship proviso, which was just put forward. So I think working with the staff and reaching out will help you be able to get in front of that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I ask how long I have to get these screens? Is there a time limit? Should I not ask that question?
No time was included in the motion.
Yeah. You wanna give them more time?
Time to install.
For her to do the work.
I would ask for staff for clarification on what would be standard for that.
Sometimes when it's a hardship, we do offer 6 months.
Okay.
So there's time for them to, get funds together, 6 months, a year.
But I was citing the hardship in regards to the ability to install the windows at all.
Gotcha.
So,
But that's just up to you. She's asking the question, so I didn't know if the commission.
yeah, so I didn't put a timeline. I think the work that needs to be done based on the motion I submitted was the screens, right?
Gotcha.
Do I need to put a timeline on that?
No, she's just asking the question.
Okay.
So we'll work with her on that.
Okay, thanks.
And now we're on D, correct? Now we're on item D. It is 823, 825 Atlantic Ave. Thank you again. Could you please just restate your name and the address for the record?
Yes, my name is Darlene Jacobs Levy. I live at 832 St. Louis Street. I'm the owner of 823, 825 Atlantic Avenue, and I'm here today regarding the denial of my request for retention of ridge tiles installed as part of an emergency roof repair following Hurricane Ida. At the outset, I want to be clear, this work was not an elective, cosmetic, or undertaken
Ms.
to
Levy,
alter.
I appreciate you, but can you just please let the staff give their report and then
Can you pull what?
let the staff read the report, please, and then we'll be able to take your 2 minutes. for
Oh,
your
yeah,
statement.
sure, that's good.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry.
This is an application for the retention of the removal of ridge tiles at a contributed rated one-story, two-family residential building without a certificate of appropriateness. 823 to 25 Atlantic Avenue is a double shotgun building in Algiers Point constructed prior to 1896. The applicant removed the ridge tiles during an unpermitted roof shingle replacement project. The guidelines state that the ridge tiles and finials are visually important features, accentuating the changes in the roof slopes, and the HDLC encourages their retention. HDLC allows for the reinstallation of existing tiles during re-roofing, and we also allow the installation of new Hector ridge tiles. HDLC staff recommends denial of the retention.
We don't have. You want to go? Would you like to?
Are you ready
Would you like
with
to
me?
say, make your statement? Yeah. You had
Yeah.
started. I apologize. I cut you off.
Okay. At the outset, I want to be clear, this work was not elective, cosmetic, or undertaken to alter the historic character of the property. It was performed out of necessity following catastrophic storm, Hurricane Ida damage that rendered the structure unsafe and uninhabitable. Immediate action was required to prevent further structural deterioration, water intrusion, and to restore safe housing for my tenants. The roof, including the ridge tiles, was installed in 2021 by Mark E. Lamb Construction Company and has remained in place for approximately 5 years. It has functioned properly without issue and continues to protect the structure. The Commission has already accepted the shingles installed as part of the same roofing system. However, it has denied retention of the ridge tiles, even though they were installed at the same time, under the same emergency circumstances, and as part of the same integrated roof system. This distinction is not supported by any rational basis. There has been no evidence presented that the ridge tiles cause any harm to the historic character of the property. On the contrary, the roof has existed in its current condition for years without issue. Requiring removal of this at this point would necessitate disturbing a relatively new and fully functional roofing system. That would create a real risk of damage including water intrusion and structural compromise, and would impose a significant and unnecessary financial burden. This is not preservation. This is destruction of a functional system without corresponding benefit. Additionally, the work was performed during a federally declared disaster, Hurricane Ida, under emergency conditions when property owners throughout the city were required to act quickly to stabilize damaged structures. Treating emergency repairs the same as voluntary alterations ignores the reality of those circumstances. For the Commission to approve one component of the roof while neglecting another installed simultaneously and serving the same function is internally inconsistent and constitutes arbitrary line drawing. For purposes of preserving the record, I would respectfully state the following. The denial of retention is arbitrary and capricious, unsupported by substantial evidence, internally inconsistent, and reflects a failure to properly consider the emergency nature of the work and the undue hardship and removal that it would impose. The condition has existed for approximately 5 years without issue. There is no demonstrated public benefit to requiring removal, and significant harm would result from doing so. Accordingly, I respectfully request that the Commission reverse its prior determination and grant approval for the retention of the ridge tiles.
Thank you for your comment. There's no public comment. We have no additional cards. Discussion with commissioners on this one? Does anyone make a
I
motion?
have a question for staff or other architects. When we have tiles over a new asphalt roof, does it just get adhered over the asphalt tile? In other words, we don't actually have to remove roofing material to have these reinstalled?
That is correct.
And so I was just going to ask the question, is it possible that we can have retention of them, and if the roof needs to be changed, then they would be required to remove them at such time?
Yes, and so basically you would say that it's retained, but when the roof needs to be replaced, the new ridge tiles would be installed where they're missing now. Is that what you're?
That is correct.
That is something you could do.
However, I mean, ridge tiles are additive to this sort of roof. There's no harm done in adding additional terracotta roof ridge tiles to this roof. It's done all the time when a roof is installed, and then later on somebody comes back and decides to put ridge tiles on top. I don't see, I mean, Ms. Lee, with all due respect, that was a very well-written response, but I don't see this as something that is in any way potentially damaging to that roof.
But it's a hardship on me to have to go and take all of the current roof tiles down and replace them with other roof tiles.
You don't have to take the roof tiles down. That's what Mr. Block just said. They're additive, and you can put them on top of the ridges where they are.
According to my roofer, that can't be done.
You got the wrong roofer.
Well, I think he's a very good roofer. He's also an attorney, and he's a licensed general contractor.
I think the staff can help advise on how that could be done. I'm sure the roofer could reach out to the staff on behalf of you as the applicant to get that advice. I will just say I don't think it's capricious to allow you to retain a roof that was put on without permission and then ask for another thing.
So what is the ruling of the commission? I'm not understanding.
I just making a response to the comment.
Is there a motion from any of the commissioners on this one?
Algiers.
I make a motion for her to have the ability to retain them, and if such, in the future, the tiles need to be, the roof needs to be changed, then we will mitigate that. She
Thank you, ma'am.
specifically said that, it's a hardship for her at this time, and I would just ask that we would consider that.
Is there a second to this? No.
So there's no second.
Okay, so that motion fails.
I'd like to make a motion to reject the retention.
Is there a second to this motion? Hackenberg. Can we have a vote amongst commissioners?
All those in favor?
All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those against, please raise your hand. Ms. Portick, we have, do we need a roll call without Jenny? Are we okay? We're down one.
It would be, you would need to vote with the majority in order for it to pass.
Yeah, I'd vote like Jenny. I will with the majority.
Okay,
That's fine.
so then it's 6-1.
6-1.
7-1.
Your motion for retention fails. You have 10 calendar days to appeal your decision.
Well, I'm going to take it before the city council. That's what I usually do.
I appreciate it. Thank you
All
for
right,
coming.
thank
you
you.
for your
That's why
patience.
so many developers leave this city.
Not all. This is item E, is the last item on our docket, guys. That is 2424 Burgundy Street. Is the applicant present? Could you please state your name and your address for the record?
Joe McReynolds, 2424 Burgundy Street, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Thank you for your patience. We're just going to have the report read quickly.
This is an application for the retention of installation of inappropriate soffit vents and front entry door at a contributing rated one-story raised basement residential building without a C of A and full control Maroney. For the soffit vents, to increase the amount of attic ventilation, the applicant installed approximately 8 new round decorative iron soffit vents along the left and right side roof overhang eaves where no vents previously existed. These vents are not considered appropriate in these locations as they are generally only approved when centered within the building's bays at the primary front elevation. For example, these vents could be approved for installation at the front porch soffit. However, more simple plain rectangular vents are recommended at the side roof eaves, so they're more minimally visible and do not appear to be original historic features or conditions of the building. Based on the high visibility of the vents at the left and right sides, the potential need for additional vents at the more visible left side to achieve balanced ventilation, the likelihood that the vents may be misinterpreted as historic features, and because the work was done without HDLC approval, staff recommends denial of the request for retention and recommends that they be removed and replaced with plain, simple, minimally visible vents. If retention approval is granted, however, staff recommends a proviso that the current decorative vents must be painted to match the adjacent surfaces to further reduce their visibility. For the replacement door, the previously existing 15-light front entry door at the left side of the porch was replaced by the applicant with the current wood 2-panel, pane-over-panel door without a C of A. The applicant indicated that they may also replace the adjacent multi-light front entry door at the right side, which still currently remains. The replacement door installed is not considered appropriate because it is not consistent with the building's craftsman, architectural style, or period of construction as required by the guidelines. For example, the raised 2-panel door would be more appropriate on an earlier classic revival-style building. And additionally, a glass pane area that appears enlarged, the glass pane area appears enlarged and is not proportionally consistent with the building style or the adjacent multi-light side lights. The replacement door alters the historic character of the primary entrance and disrupts the relationship between the door and the side lights. Additionally, it features an integrated textured glass panel where clear glass or uniformly frosted glass is required. Based on the prominence and visibility of the door at the primary front elevation, the inconsistency of the door with the building's style and character, and because the work was completed without HDLC approval, staff recommends denial of the request for retention and recommends that the door be replaced with a more appropriate wood door consistent with the building's style, and that both front entry doors are designed to be consistent amongst themselves.
I don't know if you had a chance to review all of the pictures that were submitted when I was discussing this with your staff. Mr. Dennis Murphy was very helpful. I very appreciated his help on it. But this thing began because there was a complaint about the HVAC unit on the side of the house. It was an anonymous complaint. I resolved that and moved it to the back of the house. And then they brought in these new issues about the soffits on the eaves and then the front door. So first of all, the soffits were put in when I started to repaint the house in 2021, after I put the door on the left in. And they are identical to all the other soffit vents that are installed on all the other houses that have them in a 2-block radius. I mean, I don't understand why they are inappropriate to put them on the side eaves. Most of the houses in the neighborhood don't have side eaves or side soffits because of the narrow space between the houses. Mine does. I'd also like to point out, when I bought this house in 2014, I don't know if you saw any pictures of the condition of the house, but it was a dilapidated wreck. I mean, the vines of the last 2/3 of the house were growing into the house. I mean, it was the complete restoration of this house. Okay, so pictures should be in your report showing what the soffits look like, the soffit vents look like on the other houses in the neighborhood. Some of whom have it only in the pediment over the porch. Some of them have it all the way around. The house catacornered from mine on this corner of Spain and Burgundy has them on the second floor, and the eaves on one side and the eaves on the other side, identical to the ones I put in. Now, I know I didn't get the certificate of appropriateness, but I would ask that you grant the retention of the soffit vents, and I will comply with their request that I paint them the color of the eaves when I finish painting the house. I'm painting the house myself. And as for the door, you know, let me make a plea for some aesthetic beauty here. I mean, those original doors, that original house was a dump. I spent a lot of money fixing that house. And so one of the suggestions I showed, they said it's a craftsman style house. I don't understand because it's almost identical except for the glasses around the door frame. The door I put in is identical to the doors that are in a virtually similar house 2 houses down. So it's not like it doesn't match the contour of the house, but I submitted these. I don't know if you saw them in my submission, as this is what is considered a craftsman style door. And Mr. Murphy told me, well, that would be acceptable at the staff level. Well, if that's acceptable, I don't understand why the door that I put in, which is a better looking door than those square doors that I had, is not acceptable. If they will agree, I will put a matching door on the right side that matches the one I put on the left. If you will grant my retention, I'll do it within 6 months. But man, I really love the door, and I love the house, and I love the soffits, and I would request that you grant my retention request.
If Murphy agrees on that. Do you want to respond to that, Mr. Murphy?
I'm sorry?
Do you want to respond to that comment about the doors? And he just said that, is that
this one,
the picture part? And if you would replace it, that you would approve it?
Correct. Yeah, the craftsman example would potentially be something closer in that style.
But not the one that he has now, correct?
No.
Okay.
I think the issue is that it's a craftsman style house, and the door that's on there now, although yes, it is better than the one that he replaced, and definitely better than the other existing one on the other bay, but it is the wrong period. So Dennis's recommendation was to replace it with something that is craftsman style. That's something that we could handle at staff. Would recommend would be doing both doors and side lights, and that would bring it into the appropriate period. And the issue with the soffit vents is it's unusual to have an overhang the way he has, and usually you see those decorative soffit vents on overhangs of porches, on the front elevations. And I think that's less of an issue. If the whole thing were painted out, they would be less visible. And I think that we could recommend retention of those, but replacement of the doors and side lights.
Could I ask a question in response to comments from Mr. Block? If the door that I put in, if I took the pane of glass out that they object to and put in glass panels with mullions that match the line of sight of the sound doors, but match the color of the existing door, would that be acceptable?
I'm going to leave
so that
that
I could
to
keep the door?
I want to think about that for a second. I just want to speak to the soffit vents real quick. I really don't like the decorative soffit vents in the side, but I do think we do have a rub with meeting modern standards about attic ventilation, and the soffit vents at the porch alone really wouldn't do it. I'm just curious, in the guidelines, is there a specific discussion about strip vents versus square vents versus any other kind of non-decorative vent?
For non-decorative vents, yes, we have like guidelines for roof vents, like continuous ridge vents, power vents, but not as much for like soffit vents or newer vent technologies like the in-vents, where they're sort of located lower at the base of the slope.
Right.
But these are also things that we are looking at and kind of evaluating. and plan to incorporate into future guideline updates. But yes, when we get applications, we have to review them basically for visibility, how much they impact the building itself and its fabric.
Yeah, given that there isn't a whole lot of clarity on alternate soffit vent options, I'm inclined to make a motion to allow the retention of those with the painting. I do think, just side comment, that strip vents would work better in these linear, board configurations than cutting holes out of the old material, big swaths out of the old material. That's just my 2 cents on it, and would offer a more continuous approach to the actual code requirement. My motion is to allow the retention of the soffit vents.
I think Gregory wants to.
Okay, go ahead.
Go off.
Yeah, to allow the retention of the soffit vents, but paint them, but to replace the doors with an acceptable craftsman door, or potentially, if staff finds acceptable, the modification of the existing door to become a craftsman door.
I love that.
We have a motion, and then we have a second.
I'll second it. I would like to make the comment that these, as the staff said, these are decorative vents. They provide very little in the way of ventilation. And I know fellow architects have done roof venting calculations. You get a few square inches from them when you need a significant amount, so they really do not contribute very much. That if you do want to vent your attic, that you hire somebody who can do the calculations and then apply for a proper permit with the staff to make sure it's done properly.
And just one other little comment. I'm just noticing on the report a case history of 5 different things on here that you have not. So
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we're being really lenient at the end of this really long day for you. Let's not see you again here. Why don't you just make sure you run anything that you do by the staff,
I
please?
will completely do that, but
Okay.
first of all, you got 5 things, but one of them was incorrect about that light.
It doesn't matter. Just the
wasn't
fact that
mine.
you're on here at all.
That was there when I bought the house.
I got you. I got you.
All right. And don't blame me for somebody else's fault. Okay, I appreciate. Do we need a vote?
We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have a vote?
All those in favor?
Everyone in favor, please raise your hand.
Yeah.
Nobody's against it. Okay.
Who was the second?
Thank you. Thank you
The
very much.
second is Mr. Hackenberg.
Thank you, and thank Mr. Murphy.
And is the
for-
first. And Mr.
working
Murphy,
with
you are you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Please work with the staff to make sure we don't see you ever again.
I will do it.
You have a great day, though. That is it for that. We are going to number 9, ratification of Architectural Review Committee and staff actions since Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 meeting.
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second? Okay. Everybody in agreement? I imagine so. That, right? And the last thing, 10, reports and communications with HDLC.
Happily no.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. That concludes today's
Move to
meeting.
adjourn.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.